Good evening and welcome along to Monday's Poker Night Live. Let's start the week the right way with 4 hours of online no-limit hold'em action, real players playing for real cash all the time. I'm TV's Nick Wealthall, and with me is one of the biggest poker brains in Europe, Mr. James Browning. How are you, James?
I'm all right, thanks, Nick.
Excited to be here.
Really excited to be here.
You're here all the time.
Are you buzzing?
At the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I sleep just right behind here.
Is it nicer than your house?
No, but it's quicker to get here.
But you don't get to play poker because you're here so much.
It's a nightmare. I am going to get play poker. I'm going to be off to Sweden. So
excellent.
Looking
You're
forward
on a
to that.
roll, aren't you, with your tournaments?
yeah, I've had a draw everywhere I've been on recently, even including the cruise. So I hope to maintain it in Sweden. That would be good.
I hope you do. We'll find out all about it, I'm sure. You're very lucky, guys, to have James at your disposal tonight. He is one of the better tournament players in Europe, and you can contact him live. If you've seen the show before, you know we thrive and need your texts and emails. They are what dictates the content of our programme. Whatever you talk about, we'll discuss on air. So here's how you get in touch. Couldn't be easier. You can text 84222. Text poker and then your question, 84222. They've changed the number just as I learnt the old one. Literally took me 8 months to learn a 5-digit text number.
You learned that one. This one we've done well on.
I haven't learnt it. I read it off the telly.
I think you do it better, this one.
Really?
Yeah.
poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email. And there's also a phone number if you want to phone in and hear your voice in the studio. 0906 200 7080. Still haven't learned that one, mind you. Not easy, is it? We've got the usual mix of features tonight, guys. We've got our mix of tournament and cash games live from the internet. We've also got Beat the Presenter, your chance to play against the aforementioned poker genius, Mr. James Browning. He'll be playing in an hour online, and then we'll look at that tournament and analyse his play with the benefit of the person that did it and what he was thinking at various points. And we've also got a multi-table tournament, special multi-table tournament.
Something very special tonight, Nick.
This is a Poker Night Live League All-Star Challenge Cup event. I think that's the correct title.
Exactly.
Yes. This is an event organised by the regular contributors to the show and contributors to the forum, of which you could be one. All you need to do is pop along to pokernightlive.co.uk, get involved with the forum, or email us in the show. And they have organised a multi-table tournament, which we're going to cover tonight. It's going to be the first in a league.
Yes, and it's going to be taking place every Monday night.
Every Monday night. New way for us to start the week and for you to get involved with the show if you'd like. Let's check it out and see what's on offer right now. I don't know if they've actually started the multi-table tournament. The show is a constant surprise to me. Let's see what we've got at the moment, shall we?
Okay, we're kicking off there. We've got a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. And then it's a $5 sit and go, just started, followed by a $10 sit and go, just arriving now, and it's just kicked off as well. There's Hoofy there. And here we are, we have our private members league here.
Don't describe it as a private members league. It just sounds weird in the 70s.
It does, doesn't it?
It's the Poker Night Live League Cup Challenge Tournament Global Series.
It's the PML.
PNL League.
PML, the Private Members League, lad.
Please. Please, no. I've got something I want to talk about tonight as well.
Good.
Your attitude, young man. No,
Oh.
I would like... I think there's a big debate in poker, which
Yes.
hasn't been written about yet, but does exist in terms of different styles of play.
Yep.
And particularly tournament play we're talking about. And that is that the new upcoming tournament players, well not upcoming actually, established, but the new younger players, people like Daniel Negreanu and Andy Black and a lot of others, Eric Lindgren,
Phil Lack,
play in a very different way. They play No Limit Hold'em in Phil Ivey actually, play a very different style to some of the older players like TJ Cloutier and others that have kind of dominated in the past. And they play much looser, basically. They play a lot more hands. They enter a lot more pots, particularly early on in tournaments. Daniel Negreanu, I think, is the only one that's actually written about this. He's written about it in his card player column and on his website, and he's talked about how he believes you have to get involved early to make chips and also to take chips off the weaker players because tournament field is so much bigger, lots of new players have come in. So I don't know if you've got a view on this, James. Might be something we can
Yes,
talk
I think
about.
it's a great subject to have a really good discussion on. So
Let's do that.
I'm looking forward to that.
But remember, you can text and email anything you like, guys, throughout the evening, whether you're a new player or whether you've been watching the show for ages. Particularly if you're in tonight's multi-table tournament, of course, we'd also like to hear from you. Do get involved with the show. As I said at the top, it is your show. Let's go to a game.
And if you're good, Nick,
Yes.
I've got a little poker story for you later.
Okay. Is it for the viewers as well, or is it
It is.
one
It's
of
for
those
all.
special ones you
No.
tell me in the breaks? So this is the Poker Night Live weekly tournament, which any of you can get involved in. It's being played by 53 of our regular forum contributors. And I'm going to put my glasses on because
You're getting tired?
my eyes hurt.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm tired at 10 o'clock. That's not a good sign, is it?
Yeah, but you come alive, though.
That's right. I peak at about 12:15. Stay tuned for that.
Fifth wind.
Fifth wind. That's exactly right.
Well, so therell be a total of 79,500 chips in the tourney. And I think we're going to probably recognise quite a few of the names. And already we can see Duff there. And Jumati, Lumas, my goodness. Buffy be good? Oh, all old pals.
Some old friends, some old enemies.
So it's that's not a bad turnout for the first one. I think it's quite good.
They're not enemies really. That was a joke.
No, yeah.
I love them all, even the ones that abuse me in the chat box when I play poker. Lumas already up to 3,000. What was their starting chips? Do we know?
I believe it's 1,500,
Uh-huh.
but that is just an educated guess.
I'm
I
sure
have
that's
to
true.
admit.
And I believe it's the same multi-table tournament structure that we see every night on the show, I think. So we're starting with 10, 20 blinds in the first level. And I'm sure the blinds will go up every 12 minutes.
Right, we mustn't confuse there because just while you were away, we did have a tourney there where we started with 2,000 chips.
Exciting times.
So, and the structure was just a wee bit different. But generally, it's this 1,500 format, isn't it?
So does this show how when I'm not here?
It does actually happen when you're not here, yeah. There are other people who manage to sort of get by without you.
They don't tell you anything, do they? Everyone smiles, everyone's nice. Hello,
You can
Mr.
actually-
Hello, Mr. Wealthall, can I get your...
Even if you haven't got a telly,
Plumped
Nick, you can watch it on the internet, you know.
Can you?
Yes. Oh. www.pokernightlive.co.uk. Click Watch TV. You can see it all there.
And that is the best thing you can watch on the internet, isn't it?
The safest.
Definitely.
The safest.
So we've got a 7-player table. Just the way the tables are configured at the moment, I presume.
Yes, because with 53 players, there's going to be 7 tables. So we'll have 3 tables of 7 and 4 tables of 8. So it all makes sense. Right. Flop is Queen King 4. Mad Max has got the top pair there. King with a 10 kicker. Buffy be good checks. Mad Max. Third hearts, come on. Wow, he suddenly decides to put the bet in now. Making it expensive for someone with a flush draw. And he's taking it down. He'll be happy with that. And it's another 7-seater. There's Chupa, who's been having quite a bit of success recently. He had quite a game when you weren't here, Nick, I'm afraid. But I'm going to update you, basically.
One of the lesser shows.
He had 2 good finishes in sit and goes back to back.
Very nice.
Pascali there with the top pair, joining the 2 kings, aces and kings it gives him. Wow, there it is. No doubt where he is now. He's got a full house. Aces and kings.
You see, he hasn't bet, has he? He hasn't bet throughout the whole hand, so...
And he was nervous someone was lurking with the king, I suppose. Worried probably on the turn that someone might have the ace but with a bigger kicker. So he had worries, I suppose. But he could have found out where he was.
We've all got worries, haven't we?
Well, yes, it's true.
As Mark Twain once said, I've lived through some terrible experiences in my lifetime, and a few of them actually happened.
Yeah, I like that one.
Freebie for Addy. Just in the early stages of this multi-table tournament, just easing you into Monday night's Poker Night Live.
Yes. A gentle look at the green bays.
Now Bronson makes a pretty horrific call there with the ace-8. Very loose. He's got lucky though.
Ah, but he knows where he is. He's hit top pair.
And
he
all the
asks
subtlety
question.
of an elephant crushing a walnut there. Just bets out, giving himself no chance to really make any money on that hand. I think even an intermediate player there would have checked raise, wouldn't they?
Puff boy. I was reading a player's name there, by the way.
Thank you.
Bet 220.
I think that might be Peterborough United.
Yes, I think you're right, actually.
In which case, wish him every luck in the world, because that's my mum's team.
All right.
She grew up in
Club
Peterborough.
Boy. I'm a Peter United Football Club boy.
Peter United.
Peter United.
Peterborough.
Peterborough United Football Club boy.
Yeah.
That's what it says there.
Yeah. You just said Peter.
Oh well, it was a shorter version.
Yeah.
Come on, the Peters.
Posh, innit?
Yeah.
And do you remember when Victoria Beckham tried to sue?
Oh yes, I do. How can she be so crazy?
Setting the seal on her as one of the most vapid, unpleasant human beings ever to crawl the face of the earth.
Doesn't the word dumb come in as well?
Vapid.
King 7-6. Pascali's got the bottom pair. Bronson. With his ace-8. Is this the only hand that Bronson plays, ace-8?
He loves it, doesn't he? Well, he dodged a bullet there. Pascal's full house. I shouldn't have been critical of Bronson earlier, should I?
Why not?
Well,
Thing is,
he's a close personal friend, and I was only doing it to
all right.
tease
Often
him.
though, but with these poker names, people are often opposite to the names they choose, aren't they?
That's right. I mean, Bronson.
Bronson, he's given the image that he's big and tough, you know, a killer,
hard man.
a killer.
Yeah.
But he might be just the opposite.
So hard to tell, isn't it?
He could be like Andy Pandy or something. You don't know, do you?
He plays a bit like Andy Pandy, doesn't he?
What's in the box today?
I don't even know who Andy Pandy is.
Yeah.
Was he the one in blue and white?
Yeah, he was.
Right.
And his friend. And his friend was Teddy.
Producers have just very cleverly noted that he was in black and white.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think we should stop talking about Bronson because I want to be employed again.
it's too late now.
Well, he's in a... Well, luckily he hasn't flopped to his hand at all because he could have got into trouble here.
Oh, and had a...
That's complete overkill when your opponent's sitting with 3-4, isn't it?
Yes, full house aces, jolly sweet.
If you've just joined us, this is Poker Night Live with Nick Wealthall and James Browning. We're after your texts and your emails. 84222 on the text, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk on the emails. We will discuss whatever you write in about. This show is here to help you with your poker, no matter what your level of play. And we're currently watching a multi-table tournament, which is the first in a series of Monday Night Poker Night Live League tournaments. Open, I believe, to people that post on the Poker Night Live forums. So get involved with the forums, pokernightlive.co.uk, and you can play in this tournament on a Monday night. Nobody has much of anything. Chopper makes a little bet. I don't think going to accomplish a whole lot. I wish when people bet, they'd just, bet. If you think it's a good situation to bet, then put a proper bet in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you allow people with a hand like Moosmit there, for example. He's called with a pair of fours. If Chopper had bet 2/3 of the pot, he would have probably folded his pair of fours.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a bet, guys, make a proper bet, for heaven's sakes. We're going to check in.
Not a fan of the minimum bet, are you?
I am not. I don't see much purpose for it. I mean, there's always a purpose for any move in poker. There are situations where it might be right, but I think that quite often, I would say 70-80% of the time, when you see a minimum bet at the poker table, it means what it says.
Weakness.
It means weakness. It means I'm trying a little feeler bet just in case nobody's got anything. And actually, I actually think you can make money in poker if you raise minimum bets.
Yeah, I think you have to be a little wary. I think it means two things. I think it either means weakness or extreme strength.
Yeah.
Because it can be like a little nip from a strong hand trying to tease you into whacking it. So, like swatting it like a fly.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you do, okay. So, I think it could be the big hand there just trying to annoy you.
Yes.
Beep. I know you hate small bets, Nick. Beep. Crush, says Nick. So, I think that can come about.
I have just told everyone that as well now, haven't I?
Yeah, so you're going to get the nip
going to need
bets.
to change that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was musing on over the weekend, as I read a very good book actually, guys, Aces and Kings. Can't even remember who wrote it. That's shocking, isn't it? Michael Kaplan and somebody else. It's called Aces and Kings. I'd never heard of it before this weekend. I thought I'd read the poker books that were out there, and I found it in a station. And it's a relatively recent book, and it's an absolute cracker. It's basically profiles of all of the individuals who have moved poker on throughout its lifetime. So there's a profile of Doyle and Stewie, but also some less obvious ones like Brad Regan is the other author, I'm told. Some less obvious ones like Barry Greenstein and Howard Lederer. And it's very well researched, very well written. And basically the point of the book is obviously to give an insight into these people, but also to make the point that there isn't one winning style at poker. That there are many different ways that you can win at this game. And actually, I think it's even more pure than that, in that I don't think at poker there's any style that you can employ that there isn't a style that can counteract that. So I don't think there's one winning style. For whatever winning style you constructed, there would always be moves that would be able to make money off that style.
Yes, I think that's a good point.
Which is why it's such a fluid game and such an interesting game to talk about and analyse, because there's never one answer. I have no idea how I got into that.
No, it's good though, but I think different style. Basically, we always have to be prepared to adjust, I think, is the follow-up to that.
Yeah.
And therefore, with a certain makeup of table, one style will be more effective than another. And probably, if one was the best player in the world, you could be actually quite a chameleon and change to whatever style suited the situation.
One of the things I've taken away from reading the book, and I was kind of had the kernel of this thought before, but I'm now actually going to do it, having taken away and read the book, is to play some low limit games that I'd normally play and experiment with styles outside of my comfort zone, and just try and make some moves that I wouldn't normally make. Because I think that we all, over time, get into a pattern of play, don't we?
Yeah.
And you do need to be completely adaptive.
I can see it. I can see you there. You're in the low limit game.
Yeah.
You've done all your research. It'll be a cloud of smoke. It'll be, tonight, Matthew, I'm Gus Hansen.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully on one night I'll be Annie Duke.
Oh, right.
Getting into a weird area. Let's go back to a game. We'd love your texts and emails on that or anything else, guys. 84222, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. I'm trusting that somebody's going to tell me if I'm saying the text number wrong, because it's new.
Well, you're safe if you turn into Annie Duke, but don't turn into Cloney Gowan when you're near me.
I won't, James.
Nick's got that uncomfortable look again.
To be honest, I'm not going to turn into a woman.
Oh, good.
That would just be weird.
But turning into Gus Hansen.
But I do think, yeah. But I do think that we do all fall into patterns of play, and we do all develop our own style. And I think challenging it now and again is a good idea. Personally, Ramchip testing out the power of position. Unfortunately for him, Poostash is sitting there with 2 pair, which has just become a full house. Now, unfortunately for Poostash, it's a heart, which will scare off. Well, Ramchip probably wasn't going to put any more money in the pot anyway, but it would have scared off a lot of hands because that flush came. He takes it down. Pair of jacks for Robelido. And a good flop for a pair of jacks. And no customers. More than happy to close the hand down at that point. Obviously, lots of cards that can come. Any queen, king or ace hurts his hand at that point. And this is the second level of this multi-table tournament, which is the first in the Poker Night Live League Tournament Challenge Global World Series Cup, which will run every Monday night. There'll be a leaderboard, I'm told.
Yeah. I'm just a bit worried about this book now. I'm sure it's great, actually. I'm going to get it. But I see that there's... I was just checking up about it, and I see there's a list by Mike Tyson's dad, who's a professional tournament player. And his 3 books he lists are Doyle Brunson's Super System, fair enough. Aces and Kings by Michael Kaplan and Brad Regan.
Ramchip bets with nothing and wins, yeah.
And Play Poker Like the Pros by Phil Hellmuth.
So somebody's made a list.
It's hard to believe a list of 3 could include Phil Hellmuth's book, to tell the truth.
Well,
don't you think?
It depends what book they're trying to sell, doesn't it,
yeah.
on the website you're looking on.
No, this is just people sort of like their choice list. But no, I'm going to check that book out. It sounds like fun.
It's a very enjoyable read. Very enjoyable.
Just come out in paper book this year, apparently. Paperback this year. Well, damn tilt queen 4. I don't think I want to play with that. In fact, there's not many decent hands out there. I think it's going to come round to the blinds.
So, James, what do you make of this new wave of younger players that are playing a looser style of play in tournaments?
I'll tell you where I think it's come from. I think generally it's come from the fact that these young players, the very young players, are playing so many tables at one time on the internet that they're absolute action bunnies. I mean, they need so much action just to keep themselves going. They're used to sort of non-stop.
I can see that. But some players, such as Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu and probably a couple of others, have forged a winning style playing more hands, haven't they?
They have, but Phil Ivey can have very quiet spells in the tournament.
Yeah, he can. I mean, Phil Ivey is a bit of a comedian, isn't he? In that he can play almost any style.
And we'll take another player who I think is a great tournament player. He's obviously got a great record, Phil Hellmuth. I mean, he can play very, very solid poker. He puts down more big hands than any player I know.
Well, Phil Hellmuth, interestingly, is the person I was going to use as the counterpoint to the argument, because he now plays very tight, and he's reacted to all of these internet players coming into the live game. He's reacted completely differently. His philosophy is that if he's in a situation where he has a marginal edge, as we change tables, to another table in this multi-table tournament, some old favourites there. If he has a small edge, he would rather put his hand down and continue in the tournament, because he thinks he has a bigger edge over the tournament as a whole.
Yeah.
So he's developed a very tight strategy now, and he's actually got tighter as his career's gone on. Whereas other players, Daniel Negreanu is the most obvious one because he's written about it in public, have loosened up because they think that there's value in early on in tournaments because there is a lot of dead money in these big tournaments because there are so many internet qualifiers.
Yes,
it just seems two different, completely different perspectives.
Yes, I mean, there's definitely some great logic there. Is the fact that because of the dead money, people qualifying via very small tournaments on the internet, etc., so they're likely to be inexperienced players. You actually do want to be the one tangling with them because it's like a catch weight contest. You've got the professional against the amateur. So I can see the logic to why you want to tangle with them. However, we do know that you still counter all the same problems. Actually, I put a post on the internet there, on the site, on Poker Night Live Forum, just a little comment there on some of the sit and goes there. It's a never-ending battle between protecting your tournament life, because there's only one tournament life. Whether you're Gus Hansen or Phil Ivey, whoever you are, you've only got the one tournament life.
Yeah.
And you've got to balance protecting this one tournament life with the job of accumulating chips. This is a never-ending battle.
And I've talked about it, I'm sure you've talked about it a lot on the show. It's what makes tournament play so fascinating, because the two goals are almost opposed to each other.
They are. So, although in the early stages, oh yes, I quite fancy playing against this internet qualifier, the problem is, for the good player, he actually might be quite tough to play against. Because when you want to frighten him out of the pot, he won't be frightened.
Right.
He might be unpredictable. You mightn't actually be able to read exactly what he's doing because he maybe hasn't played live very often. You might get wrong-footed by him.
But you, as the good player, you have an edge over him. So where does that edge lie in your view? How do you exploit that advantage?
I think the edge lies, and this is the same in anyone, I think even in a long-haul tournament, I think when you've got a big chip stack, you start with 10,000 chips or whatever, I advocate, if you can get into pots cheaply in late position, get in there and try and flop a monster.
See, I honestly think that the edge lies after the flop. I think that...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that it's far easier to outplay someone. People play much, put it this way, people play much worse post-flop than they do pre-flop.
I agree.
Because I don't think it takes people very long nowadays in Holland. There's so many books out there, there's our show, there's other shows, there's magazines. It doesn't take that long to learn to be selective about your starting hands. But it does take a long time to play well after the flop. And there isn't that much, it's bizarre the study of Holland, there isn't that much written about post-flop play, in fact.
No.
And that's where a good player does have an edge over bigger players. So cheap flops, I do think, is a big part of it.
Right, so I advocate that a lot. So if you can get in, look for these windows of opportunity where you can sneak in this pot. And now the good player will be able to get away from this hand.
Yeah.
However, against the inexperienced player, he might catch a mackerel. The guy might fall in love with his top pair when you've hit this random straight and you capture all the chips. Thank you very much. So those are the contests that the good players want to get in early stages. There's no point battling away for blinds because the blinds will be totally insignificant. Won't do you any good at all. So you want to get into contests. You can get into little battles with them. But there, the good player will probably be controlling the size of the pot because he doesn't want one big battle because he could get unlucky. He wants to have lots of little battles.
And this is sort of where I wanted to get to, which is I think that it's like, I think boxing provides a very good analogy for this, guys, which is that if a boxer is less skilled than his opponent, what his corner will do is tell him to try and knock him out.
Yes, I like this.
Because any boxer can knock another boxer out if he catches him right. But if he's more skilled than his opponent, he shouldn't take the risk of getting knocked out. He should jab. He should pick away, pick away, pick away. Poker's exactly the same. I
love that analogy.
I think it's the answer really, which is that if you are more skilled than your opponents, you should be trying to play small pots and not put your chips at risk, but have that advantage over your opponents with the least exposure to danger as possible. If you're less skilled, you should be going for the knockout. If you're an unskilled opponent, if you qualify for the World Series this year, as many of you will do through internet satellites, you should be moving all in and being very aggressive a lot when you come up against the pros, because that's your best shot.
Because they won't like it.
They won't like it, because it's very, very difficult to play against, in fact. And you put them in a position where they either put all their chips in with, say, a 60-40 edge, or give up the pot. So aggression is the answer if you feel less skilled.
Yeah.
We'll get back to a game. It's an interesting discussion. Do get involved in it, guys. 84222 on the text. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk on your emails. We'll get through plenty tonight, I promise you. Multi-table tournament we're watching. This is the first in a brand new series which we're calling the Inter Toto Challenge Poker Night Live Series World Cup 11. And
what was it?
It's the Poker Night Live Challenge League series of Players Club Poker, which runs every Monday night. Open to Poker Night Live forum contributors. Get on the forum, pokernightlive.co.uk, find out all about it. 53 runners have started this tournament, and we will have a league table and a leaderboard. And of course, you guys will be playing for bragging rights as to who is the best multi-table tournament Poker Night Live viewer.
And plus a Poker Night Live chipset.
For
the winner of the league, I
oh,
believe.
lovely. A prize money can't buy.
Exactly.
We tried to sell them, they didn't go very well. So we're now, no, it's not like that. A prize money can't buy.
Okay, 7 on this table now. Some players from the recent night's play. We've had Dead Spiders there. Double Top, Balrog, Cam King. They're all there. Good to see them.
Well, Cam King has the best hand, but the worst position. See how he wants to make it work for him.
Oof, and he doesn't even want to play.
Doesn't want to play?
He doesn't want to play.
I feel confused and disorientated.
Yes, he could have made up the small blind, I think, couldn't he? At least.
I mean, that's tight.
That is tight.
I'm either impressed or amused, I'm not sure
He was
which.
out of position, maybe he didn't want to get involved against so many people. Maybe he was suspicious that they were limping in with big hands. If he didn't feel comfortable and didn't know where he was, then I don't mind it. Although, as strange as it looks. Because if you're not sure where you are, best to get out. He didn't feel comfortable, obviously.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think I would have had a look, and I think you'd have had a look.
Well, the thing is, you're in a tournament, you're only going to get a certain number of decent hands. And particularly there, he could have seen the flop for free, so I think, yeah, I would have had a look. But then, maybe I'd have lost all my chips with top pair against the flush, who knows?
As I said, I would have played it myself. But if he didn't feel comfortable, then that's okay. He'll feel good in his head for passing it. But I'd be interested to see what he does want to play with.
Yeah.
Try and keep an eye out for that. Double top, late position with Jack Queen. He passes. Very solid opening by people here. And the long length just makes up the small blind with Jack 4. Hasn't connected. King comes over, it's no help. He checks again. Well, if nothing happens, he's going to win it with the Jack.
PUFC Boy has emailed in to confirm
That
it is Peterborough United.
He's a posh supporter.
He says up the posh. I second that, and so does my mum Sue. In with a chance of promotion this year, although they've had a very bad run recently.
Oh.
They were solidly in the playoffs, and now this weekend they just dropped out of the playoffs for the first time. So they need to get it together.
Yep.
Anyway, he says thanks for the shout, and just to mention that the first hour of the tournament was a rebuy. So
right.
that's why there's quite a lot of chips in play. Was a rebuy. Well, that means it is a rebuy. Are we still in the first hour?
I'm not sure what time it started.
We'll get that information for you guys. I mean, I'm not promising it tonight, it's a live show, who knows?
Okay, we're 36 minutes into this tournament, so we're still in a rebuy situation.
Well, that changes a lot.
We haven't actually witnessed one yet, so let's keep our eyes skinned. Nash just calls with Kojak. We've got Jugglebug with King 10, he just limps in. Mutts Nuts limps.
We had an email in a show that we did together a couple of shows ago, James, and a flop flush.
Ooh, look at
for
this
two
flop
players. For two
Oh my
players.
goodness, 2 flop flushes. Oh dear me.
In fact, almost all the spades are out.
Froggy boy.
We've got 10 spades out.
And he's just done the flat raise, Jugglebug. And look, we've got Gimbo there with the ace of spades. My goodness, he could be tempted.
Not now, surely. I suppose it's a rebuy. If it is a rebuy.
Yeah, it's a rebuy. He could well be tempted. And there's the re-raise from the 8-4. Oh my goodness. Well, I can only see all the chips going in here. There it is. Well, we'll soon find out if it's a rebuy or not, that's for sure. Let's stay on this table and all will be revealed. Because Froggy Boy is all in. King 10's staggering here. No, surely not. Oh yeah, he's called. Thank goodness for that. There we are. And look, the spade came. The ace would have won it, Nick.
It would.
And there's the rebuy. Which witnessed
Okay,
here.
well, this is the, I think, certainly when I've been on, the first rebuy tournament we've shown.
Yes.
So let's talk about rebuys for
We
our
just saw
viewers.
one, yes. It was good.
I don't
wasn't it?
actually talk about the actual act of rebuying. That's just
Yeah,
not.
the 0 chips there, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, ping, he had 1,500. It was good to watch.
Yeah. Can we talk about them more tactically, maybe?
Yes.
Now, you can help me out, James, as well.
Okay.
Because I suck at rebuy tournaments. I've sucked at rebuy tournaments my whole career. So much so that I gave up playing them about 4 years ago.
Right.
I just don't play in them. Because after about 4 years of trying to play them well, I never cracked them. I never found a style of playing the rebuy period that I was comfortable with. And so I now no longer play them.
And I think that's a common dilemma, Nick.
Yeah.
You're not on your own.
Good.
There's a whole host of people out there who feel
Help
like
us,
that.
James. Help
That
us
is
with
why
rebuys.
there's been a current trend that people like freeze out.
Yeah.
Because people like you say, that's better because I know where I am.
Well, it's just that I find it much easier to take pots down in a freeze out than I do in a rebuy.
Yeah, of course.
And I find poker where it's very, very difficult to make people put hands down, any kind of poker like that, I find much harder because I like to.
Right, but I'm now going to ask you to have a look at this in a new light.
I'm always open-minded about everything.
Right, and I'm
except
now
for-
going to say
except for
to
one
you,
thing. Yeah.
I think that you should look at this in a different way and say, hang on, because this tournament actually has 2 different feels to it,
Yes.
i.e. the feel during the buy-in period and then the feel after the buy-in period. You are a skilled player,
Thank you.
so you would want to have this complication thrown into the equation.
Yes.
You would want people to be disorientated by having 2 different styles of play thrown at them. So you should say, I love this. I am now going to love it, not hate it, because I am going to learn how to adapt to the 2 different parts of the tournament. Because that should go in my favour.
Okay. I'm happy to.
Do you like that in theory?
Yes, I always like reframing a problem in a positive light.
Okay.
You're saying it's an opportunity for me.
Yes. Now,
Talk to me about the rebuy
bang,
period.
we are in the rebuy period. So first of all, you've already highlighted one of the problems. One of the problems is that you are not going to be able to get people just to put hands down so often, especially if they're loose as a goose type players who
Yeah.
are happy to whack their chips in with anything. So that is one thing you have to be aware of. So therefore, if you can't get rid of them, you have to have a hand which will win on merit. Or be in a multi-way pot where, as in a cash game, you're getting value.
Yeah.
And if you're in one of those, fine, you have a go at it. And if it comes off, you're going to have a nice big stack of chips, and you're well on your way to doing well in this tournament. So therefore, in the buy-in period, whereas in a tournament normally, you don't look to play pots just for pot odds. But in the buy-in period, you can now play pots for pot odds, because that will actually give you that big payday, which will help you march on your way to victory.
Well, that's a typically extremely loose play in the rebuy period for Lumas, and it's worked for him. Re-raising with only middle pair, he's hit 3 of a kind on the river, and he's accumulating a big stack.
Right. So, can you appreciate that theory of it?
I can. I think I find myself overthinking things like how many times should I buy in? What's the optimal amount?
Right. Here's the bit which you don't like.
Yeah.
The problem is because when you're as a cash player, you're a disciplined player.
Yeah.
So therefore, it goes against the grain, as it does for me, to be having buy-ins. In fact, we sort of like cringe at the thought of having the buy-in.
I go along with that. Yeah.
Because in a way, it feels like a type of failure.
Yeah.
Ooh, we had to buy in. But therefore, we have to fight against that feeling and say, listen, all the time we're playing in a tournament where we have this push me, pull you, where we've only got one life. Appreciate this beginning bit where you have more than one life, where you can make a mistake and it's not the end of the world, where you can be a bit more adventurous, where you can look for situations to accumulate chips. And it's not all over if it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to learn to love it like that. And then I think if you went in with that sort of approach, don't feel guilty if you had 3 buy-ins. And I think you suddenly would find you were playing far better in them. Do you think that, can you imagine if that would be, I don't think you've ever gone in with that attitude.
No, I think that's probably fair. And now tell me, and the viewers at home, do you have a way, or is there a way of working out the number of buy-ins
basically
that's going to be profitable, or how you manage that?
No, you can't work it out on that one tournament. It's basically, you don't want to be an absolute crazy because you still want to try and keep your buy-ins down, but allow this freedom to be there. I'm not hungry to have the buy-in still. I still probably am a little bit too tight in the buy-in maybe. I mean, I should be a bit more adventurous. But no, it's nearly always correct to have the buy-in.
Yeah.
Because there's extra money in the pot all the time. There's more and more money being put in the pot.
I'll tell you what my problem has been. I've always thought there's 2 ways to play in a rebuy period. One is that...
Very tight.
Very tight, because you've got an advantage just by playing good cards. You immediately have an advantage against the people that are rebuying a lot.
Yep.
The other way is to play a looser style, so it's kind of a beat 'em or join 'em dilemma. A looser style, but you're a better player than them, so you play more hands, but you play them better, basically.
Yep.
And I've always sort of vacillated between those 2 approaches and never just found that one style of playing that I've been comfortable with in rebuy periods.
Right. Mentally, when you play and this is why people don't like the rebuy tournaments. If you play the very tight style, which will work as well, unfortunately your fluctuations are worse than normal.
Yeah.
Because the people buying in are going to gather chips and they're going to reach more finals than you will, however good a player you are. So now you can have a barren spell. The good thing is when you do connect and you go and get one of the top prizes, bang, you've gone way ahead of this tournament for a long, long time. So you do get rewarded, but it's like a jackpot payout, and you've got to withstand the pain of not getting to the final so often.
Because I mean, you're very familiar with some of the tournaments in the northeast.
Yes.
And I know that you guys, wherever you are, if you go to your local card rooms and play in the sort of anything but the higher level tournaments, even sort of medium level buy-ins, if it's a rebuy tournament, there'll be a lot of chips flying, and I never felt in those tournaments that I completely fulfilled my potential, because I probably was playing too tight in the rebuy period.
I'll give a good example of a guy who's a great player, and you'll know he's a great tournament player, and he owns these tournaments, and that's Stephen Liu, Lucky Liu.
I actually think he's one of the best players in the country.
He's a fantastic
he doesn't get that credit outside the northeast.
He's a fantastic tournament player. And is he frightened to buy in?
No.
Not at all. And does he get chips? It seems like he's always got chips.
Every tournament.
you see him, it's like this. It's just about how high is the stack. That's all you want to ask. You never see him sitting where there's unbelievable. He just plays these buying tournaments perfectly.
He just plays loose, but he plays better than the other players that are playing loose.
And then he switches gears, and all of a sudden I've seen him playing all sorts of funny hands. The next thing they're in with him, of course, he's got the business, and he's now won a big pot. So he knows when to change gear. The follow-up is add-ons, because I'm not sure we're going to have an add-on tonight's tournament or not. I don't know if we can find out. One of the players can text if we're having trouble accessing the details. So if you can text us if there are add-ons or not, that would be good. The guideline for that is I want to increase my stack by at least a third. So therefore, if I've got 6,000 chips and the buy-in's 2,000, I'm on the cusp of whether to have the add-on or not.
Good rule of thumb.
Probably would just have the add-on there.
Yeah. It's a third of your stack. If it increases by that much, take it. Guys, we're covering the multi-table tournament tonight, which is a rebuy tournament. First time, to my knowledge, we've done it on Poker Night Live. If you play in rebuys, if you want to play in rebuys, do get your questions and queries coming in. I know it's something that causes a lot of people problems. It does cause a lot of people problems, how to play in the rebuy period. 84222 is the text number. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is the email. Anything you'd like to know, but particularly focusing on these rebuy tournaments. Got quite a funny email from Crumble, who's playing in this multi-table tournament. He says, I'm in the regulars multi-table tournament. Lou Master's sitting on my left and keeps stealing from me. How can I stop him? Help. Many thanks. I don't think that's legal, is it? I don't think it would be fair to Lou Mas if we answered that.
Disconnect him.
Disconnect him, yeah. Wouldn't be fair to help you, but remember there's only one language bullies understand. Isn't it? It's true.
There could be a war.
Got to stand up to them, especially in a rebuy period. Goodness me.
Yes.
Goodness me. Let's get back to a game, guys. If we can. We can.
So after that little chat, Nick.
Yes, James.
Would you sort of quite like to play a rebuy now and try a new frame of mind?
It's been so long since, genuinely, it's been so long since I played in a rebuy tournament. I think I should.
And would you go there with like a fresh?
Yeah, of course.
With a fresh image in your mind.
I would.
Yeah, and say this is to my advantage. There's two styles here. Good. Shame you can't make 4 styles. That would be better. So.
Yeah, I will do that. So this is a cash game, guys. And it's a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. Which means the players can buy in for $50
and look
as
at
a
this.
maximum.
This is a chirpy play here from Pagan. Queen, Jack, King, there's 2 clubs.
Do you think that means he became a pagan in 1998?
Yes, exactly right.
That's definitely it.
Oh, definitely it, yeah. Well, he didn't get his club, and it looks scary there, but he's not scared at all. Look at this. What a play from Pagan. He's gone all in there, and unfortunately, it's curtains for him, because Mr. Razzie has got the 10. Or does he think it's oh my goodness, no!
And he's timed out.
He's got him to pass the straight.
Amazing move. Great move to end this little segment on. We're going to go to our phone-in segment. After that, there'll be a little break. We'll be back with lots more poker action very soon. That flying phone can only mean one thing. We've gone back to the age of primeval phones. No, it doesn't mean that. It means it's the phone-in section of the night, and we're very happy and pleased to have with us Mike Lacey on the line from Ireland, I believe. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
Good. Now, I've just designated you our official Irish poker correspondent. Don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, it's great. Ireland is really the home of poker in Europe, so all the best players live in Ireland and play in Ireland.
A bold claim.
Well, I think it's a fair claim because actually I think Texas Hold'em really basically originated in Britain in Ireland.
It did. It was Liam Flood and Terry Rogers that brought it over to Europe, so we can hold that claim. So.
Do you think it'll ever catch on?
I don't know about that. It's all luck, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when I play. Now, apparently there was a big event at the weekend. Is that true?
There was. We had a €500 freeze out in Dublin there. There was 169 players. It was a 2-day event. Eventually it was won, well, actually chopped by Ray McKenna from Belfast and Paul Hanlon from Dublin, with Antes Up's own Dave O'Callaghan finishing a creditable third. Along with myself coming in just in the money in 18th, and Tom from Antes Up was also 13th, so it was a good showing.
Just for our viewers, just explain what Antes Up is.
Antes Up is a website that follows Irish poker. We were there with Andy Black when he came 5th at the World Series. We've been all over Europe, to Monte Carlo, to Copenhagen, Paris, just following Irish poker players and recording their successes.
And what is the predominant colour on this site?
Funnily enough, it's green.
Whoa, that's a surprise.
No, James, just because of the Irish thing.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, do you see?
I've got it now.
Yeah. And he finished 18th. That's not too bad.
That's not too bad, no. Considering on the first day, now you think internet poker is rigged. On the first day, me and another player both had aces and kings against each other 3 times.
Wow.
And after it, we were both still in the tournament.
That's extraordinary.
And once, the time I picked up aces and he had kings, the very next hand, I looked down at 2 nice cowboys and he's all in with the aces again.
Unbelievable.
So you just passed the chips back and forwards then in that case?
Basically, yeah. So it was pretty unbelievable, but it just goes to show that anything can happen in poker.
And this is in Dublin, yeah?
That was in Dublin, yeah.
Which card room?
It was actually at the City West Hotel. We don't have the same restrictions as you do over there. We can pretty much play poker everywhere.
And this is quite a luxurious hotel, I believe.
It's a big enough hotel. The standard of service is okay. Could be better.
Was it comfortable?
Oh, it's very comfortable and it can fit a big field.
James just wants to know if there's a mini bar. That's all. to heck with the anti-structure and.
It was a good tournament.
Wasn't for me. It was for Devilfish.
8,000 starting stack.
8,000.
8,000 to start.
Yeah.
And then they have first 4 levels a half an hour, and then they move up to 40 minutes after that. They don't really miss any levels out, so.
I like that, actually. I like that structure. Starting off when the blinds are smaller, say at the half hours, then moving up to 40 minutes. I think that's the way structure should be. It
was good. They played down to 36 players on the first night, and then we all came back the next day and finished off another 7 or 8 hours play on the second day.
I heard you say there about the inevitable chop. Are you someone who would advocate smoothing out the prize structure to avoid these shares?
Well, I do myself. I'm actually in the middle of running a tournament right now as I'm speaking to you on the phone. and the
multitasking.
Sorry?
Multitasking.
That's right. And I run a big tournament every month, which is a €250 freeze out, and I have quite a flat payout structure, and there's never been a deal done yet.
All right, and I think that's the way to go, really. It's just the thing is the player themselves feel they want the big prize until they get there, and then they want to split.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I'd be in the position, if I'd have managed to get into the last 2, I would have probably done a deal with the way the prize was structured. It was 20,000 to the winner and 10 to second, so.
Good stuff, Mike. Stick around. We're going to talk to you again later in the evening. We'll talk about the Irish Open and a bit more about Irish poker, if that's okay.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you later on, and we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Monday's Poker Night Live. We're an hour in, we've got 3 hours to go, and I know you want to start your week off right by producing massive bags under your eyes on Tuesday morning, and you're going to stick with us till 2. I'd recommend you do. We've got lots of good stuff coming up. At the moment, my colleague, Mr. James Browning, is playing poker for cash on the internet, so you can pop along and watch him if you like. You're a little bit too late to get involved with the game. You're still in.
I am. I'm in disguise, though.
You're in disguise?
I'm masquerading.
Who are you masquerading as, James?
Malcolm the Rock.
Very good.
Don't tell him I nicked his money.
Can you do an impression of him?
No.
Shame. We'll get one out of him by the end of the night. Let's do a couple of emails, guys. You've been sending loads in. Thank you so much. And we will get through as many as we can during the night. This is from Sayen, or Kyan, as in pepper. It says, hi guys, I seem to be getting into a situation rather frequently. Wonder if you can help. I'm in early position with a good hand, say ace-king. I raise 4 times the big blind and get heads up. The flop comes with nothing much and missing my ace-king. Still think I have the best hand. I bet again, a similar amount, and the caller calls again. The turn comes also rubbish. What do I do? I'm feeling fed up with leading the betting, yet if I pass, he will bet and I'll fold. Any ideas? Well, it's a classic situation, in fact, KN. I'm going to call you after the pepper. I hope that's right. It's a classic situation in that you've basically missed the flop. You haven't connected with the flop, and you've got some resistance. And it's very difficult to know, obviously, whether that resistance is somebody that just doesn't believe you have a hand and wants to take the pot off you in later round, or whether it's genuine. The one thing I would say to you is that you're not in a good spot. You're not in a good spot for 2 reasons in that situation. One is position. You're out of position. And the bit at the end where you've described, if I check, he'll bet and I'll lose the pot. That's the classic problem of being out of position in poker. You do have to either take the initiative or give the initiative, but your opponent always knows which you've done. So you're in a bad spot from that point of view. The other reason you're in a bad spot is that you don't have a hand, which is always a massive problem of poker, isn't it? You've basically got ace high. So if you bet again, you're actually bluffing, or at the very best, kind of semi-bluffing, because you could catch an ace or a king on the river, I suppose. But basically, it's a bluff. So if you're going to bet again, the criteria are, obviously, what are the chances of success? And your chances of success need to be favourable in terms of the pot. So if you're going to have to bet half the pot, he's going to have to fold whatever that is, once in every 3 times. He's going to have to fold more than that to make that a profitable bet. So that's the criteria I believe you should use, because what you're really doing is bluffing at that point because you don't have a hand. If you don't think you can push him off the hand, and obviously you're going to have to base that on judgment if you've played hands with him before, or if it's the type of game that you're playing in, then if you sorry, I've completely lost my head. If you don't think you can push him on the hand, you may well have to accept that this isn't your pot. You may well have to check and hope he checks behind. That's the situation you're going to find yourself in with ace-king a lot. So to sum up, you're not in a great spot, and you may well lose pots in that situation. Again, one other point, the texture of the flop is very important in this situation. I'd be much more likely to bet again if there were no obvious troublesome hands out there, because that makes it more likely that he's just calling to try and take the pot off you later on. But if there's things like possible flushes, possible straights, cards in what I call the playing zone, which are kind of 9, 10, jack, queen, if there are cards like that on board, that's going to make you more worried. So there's a lot of factors you have to throw into the mix, Kane, and there's no one right or wrong answer. A massively long reply. Are you listening, James? Do you want to contribute, or do you just want to play? You're not listening at all, are you? And he's picked up a hand. What were the chances? We'll try one more email, and this one is about heads-up play. And I'm just going to introduce some themes about heads-up play, and then we'll see some heads-up later. We'll probably see it in a single table, and then we'll probably see in the final of the multi-table a lot more heads-up. So stay tuned. Tom's emailed and says, I've been playing No Limit Hold'em online for a couple of months and watching your show for tips. Good call. I've just come second in a ladder tourney online and won $300, having paid $3 to enter. Good, excellent. Could you help me on my heads up? As I started the heads up with a small chip lead but lost it very quickly, could you give me a few pointers on how to play heads up? Actually quite a big area, so I won't cover the whole subject right now. We'll come back to it later in the show. First things first, I would practice playing heads up. That's really the only way you'll get good at it, because the thing about heads up is it's very pure poker. It's really all about feel, because most hands neither player will have a good hand. That's just statistically true. It's actually odds on that neither of you will have a great hand. So it's going to be about who outplays the other person. So you're replaying the player and your position actually more than you are the cards. So it's a different feel to playing a ring game, and you've got to get used to it. And the only way to do that is to get experience. I would advocate, tremendous having the internet, because you can play all types of poker game at any time. I would advocate you go and play some low limit heads-up matches. Play as many of them as it takes before you get comfortable with heads-up and your own style. The other point to bear in mind is that, just a conceptual point to introduce to that stage, there's a lot more to go at, which will come up during the night. But a conceptual point, just because I read it at the weekend, always like to introduce new knowledge. You're right, James?
Yeah, I'm fine, Nick.
You're excited about the new knowledge I'll be
Yeah,
introducing?
I was,
Yeah, he gets that way. Chris Ferguson has worked out, using his computer-sized brain, and probably also a computer, to be fair, that if there are two players and they have equal chips, and they have plenty of chips in comparison to the big blind, so let's say they've both got 50 times the big blind, but one is much less skilled than the other one, so say one's an amateur and one is a top professional player, the best policy for the amateur is to go all in every hand. Imagine that. To move all in, whatever his cards, whatever his position, every hand. And adopting that ploy, he has about a 40% chance of winning. So that shows you how powerful aggression is in heads-up play. All in every hand, equal chips, small blinds, he has a 40% chance of winning. By comparison, if he tries to play using his judgment against the better player, and tries to make the right move all the time, his chances of winning drop, and depending on the difference in skill, they can drop by up to 30%, so they can drop down to only 10%. So actually, it's better to be completely brainless and go in all in every hand if you're massively outskilled in a heads-up match. Now, I'm not advocating going all in every hand. What I'm advocating is you become a skilled heads-up player. But the thing that highlights is the aggression that you need to employ in heads-up play. And we'll look at that and how you should employ that, particularly when we get to the final of the multi-table tournament, which will come in an hour and a half. Hope that helps, Tom. Stay tuned. The best writing I've seen about heads-up play is Harrington on Hold'em, when he has quite a good section on heads-up play and also dissects the end of a tournament between two good pros, Phil Ivey and another guy. So if you want to get some more detailed knowledge, go there. But do stay tuned for our multi-table tournament. That goes for all of you. Guys, we've had quite a poker knowledge intensive show so far, especially for one with me and James on. Very little clarting about, that'll come later. If any of the subjects have stimulated you, rebuy tournaments, heads-up play, whatever you like, no matter what your level of play, do get in touch. Whatever you ask us, whatever you communicate, that dictates the content of the show. 84222 is our text number. Just text poker and your question, and we'll get it. Or why not email the expert? poker@pokernightlive.co.uk is how you do that. Can be easier. James is currently playing in a tournament, and he's still in it, aren't you?
Don't say it like that.
I'm just saying. And
can you say it again? That different. Say it different, and he's still in it. Like
James
like
is
it's expected.
James is moments away from making the money in a single table tournament, aren't you, James?
No.
Can't win. At the top of the hour, we're going to replay that tournament, and James will explain his actions, if he can. Keep the text emails coming in. We're going to go to the multi-table tournament, guys. The first in a weekly series we're calling the Poker Night Live League Global Cast Tele Challenge Cup. And this is open to players who contribute to the Poker Night Live forum. So, in actual fact, it's open to all of you. In future weeks, we hope you'll all get involved. And there will be a leaderboard, and there will be a prize. Every Monday night, and I believe it's $10 entry, and it's a rebuy tournament. Somehow Bronson's got his hands on a lot of chips. He must have been having a very lucky night, judging by his earlier play. I'm only joking, Bronson. I'm sure you've been playing your socks off. The blinds are up to 100, 200, and actually, a few of these players are reasonably comfortable. I reckon you'd want about 4,000 chips to be comfortable right now. Bronson's our big stack at the moment, and there's 41 players left. We started with 53. So Bronson's got almost 16,000 chips. Our small stack's on about 1,700 on a different table. So actually, it's a very chipped up tournament at the moment. The play should be fairly slow because the blinds aren't really putting pressure on these guys. There's plenty of play to come, which bodes well for us, means we'll learn more, means there's more skill involved and less luck. I'm just going to do a little snuffle. I'm sure you'll forgive me. There it is.
That's quite a big snuffle.
That wasn't a big snuffle. I can't show you. That would be bad. But the weather's turned, hasn't it?
It has. I've got the snuffles as well, actually.
And that's good because it was only winter for 8 months. Is it just me, or was that the single coldest March in the history of Marches?
Where's all the global warming gone?
I know. I swear, second week of March, I spent an hour a day on my balcony letting off air conditioning. Not air conditioning, what they called aerosols. Come on, global warming.
I've just been bluffed.
3 5s for Pascal. He's played them very slowly. We can see that Bronson doesn't have anything to play with him. He might call 400 at the end. Why not? It's only 400. But Pascal's not going to win a big pot. And Bronson sensibly passes. Doesn't listen to me. Usually a winning idea, that. Eights for Fast Bandit. I was also reading at the weekend. This is all from this book, Aces and Kings, which I'm definitely not on commission to sell. I was just very struck by it. There aren't actually that many great books about poker, and it is a brilliant read.
I've told you one and you still haven't read it yet.
I know, but that's because I'm very disorganised. I happened to find this book in a railway station, W.H. Smith's.
Someone left it on a seat.
Well, if they had, that person would have given me a great gift, James, so don't knock it. And you know these guys, we haven't talked about this thing on the show, Ram Chip flops a pair of queens, Fast Bandits has 2 overcards.
Please be careful with your pronunciation, because where I was sitting...
Yeah. You should just be playing in a poker tournament, James.
Sorry.
Thank you. It's 4 hours of live TV, all right? Not every word. In the cut and thrust of that, the occasional word is going to come out as a violently abusive swear word. It's not, don't panic. We'll be all right. Anyway, I don't know if you're listening to me, James, but in the Aces and Kings book, they talked about how Chris Ferguson and Andy Black and other computer-inspired players do believe, as an emailer said to us a few shows ago, that you should never limp in. And they are actually in active argument with David Slamsky over this point. There is an argument going on among poker's eggheads as to whether you should ever limp into a pot.
I don't think there should be a never in anything, actually.
That would be my answer.
Because then altogether it'd be too predictable.
There certainly are very powerful arguments if you're first in that you should raise. This is obviously if you're first into the pot. Sorry, I should have explained that more completely. This is if you're first into the pot. So this is if everyone else has passed and you want to play, you shouldn't ever limp. That's what guys like Chris Ferguson and Andy Black are arguing. Because the increased equity that you get from the possibility of everybody else passing is too good to pass up. Pascal takes down the blinds. In this multi-table tournament, which still has quite a long way to run, there's plenty of chips in play. So we're going to take one more hand, and Bronson's got all the chips, and he's found some ladies. Quite unusual for Bronson. And he makes a massive raise to 2,000. And my friend, the posh fan, goes all in with the ace-king. Probably, well, I don't know. I don't see what's wrong with the call there. Bronson calls. We're in a race situation. The Queens are a slight favourite, and they stand up. And unfortunately, we say goodnight to Posh United, up to the Posh FC boy. And that's our cue to leave the multi-table tournament. Could have just called there, I think, PUFC, and seen what the flop brought. But he decided to play for his tournament. And with ace-king, it's never the worst move, but at the same time, he was putting everything on the line. We'll come back to that multi-table tournament from time to time throughout the night, and we'll show you as much of the final table as we can. So do stay tuned for it. I'm sure you all have by now, but if you haven't seen a final table, They're a great way to learn and improve your tournament play, and they also tend to be very exciting. This is a sit and go. $10 sit and go we're watching, and we've lost a player. We're in the second level, 20 and 40 blinds. And if you're not familiar with what you're looking at, this is what started out as an 8-person tournament. So 8 players put their money down. They all put the same amount down. In this case, $10 plus a fee to the site for hosting the game. Usually, for a $10 sit and go, that would be $1. And those $10 buy-ins then make up the prize pool. So $80 in the prize pool, and basically we're playing last man standing. So we play no limit hold'em. The blinds go up every 10 hands, they double, and that forces the action, means we get a result in about 30-35 minutes. It's a fast, exciting tournament. And the last man standing who has all the chips will get 50% of that prize pool. So in this case, $40. And then the second place man will get 30%, $24, and the third place man will get 20%, $16. Scotty with the aces. A nice situation, though he doesn't know that yet, in that Big Ad has flopped top pair. Now Scotty's got options here. He can call or he can raise. He decides to raise a lot of chips. Didn't need to play it that fast. I know he's worried about the flush draw, so I understand that. It's never, I guess, that big an error. But, oh, and that's not a good call by Big Ad. Well, I've said many times on the show that the test of a no-limit play is how you play top pair. And Big Ad there has been given a lot of signs by Scotty that Scotty can beat top pair. Certainly that he can beat top pair with a 10 kicker. And he didn't listen, and he's ended up losing a big pot. He did have the chips to call, but why give away the chips? I think he could have got away from that one. Skinner moves in, and if he's called, he's in trouble. And he is in trouble. He'll need to hit that 10 or running spades or an 8-9. That doesn't help him. Needs a 10. Doesn't happen. And we lose Skinner, and we're down to 6 players all of a sudden. You're listening to the dulcet, vaguely sexual tones of Nick Wealthall, and I'm here with James Browning. On Monday's Poker Night Live, we want your texts and emails, guys. 84222 on the text, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk in the email. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're an old veteran, whether you're an amateur or a pro, we want to hear from you. Whatever you ask us dictates the content of our show. And particularly if you're playing tonight's games, if you're playing the Poker Night Live tournament, whatever you're up to. We want to hear about it, especially if you've got a funny anecdote to make us giggle on this Monday night. Let's start the week off in an amusing way. How are you doing, James? You still playing?
Yeah.
I'm only talking to you because I can see you're in quite a tense situation.
I'm very confident.
You just had a little moment of excitement then, didn't you? Did you get that?
I didn't get paid.
Did you get that? We all get it, but we don't talk about it. Did you get that little tingly feeling just beneath your testicle area when you won that pot? You did, didn't you?
I was disappointed I didn't get paid.
Fair enough. Six players left. The blinds are up to 40 and 80.
Get paid.
I'm reading your emails as I talk to you.
Someone says
Thanks for
confidence
saying
is
that,
good,
guys.
James.
Not that insightful, is it? I think we can all agree. And neither player has much here. A bet would probably take it from either of them on the last street. Scotty doesn't want to raise with the Queen 7 on the button. Fair enough. Gaza Louis hits the top pair. And this is one of those situations where I know there are 3 hearts in the middle, but you really shouldn't worry about the flush. Heads up. You're going to be exceptionally unlucky if your opponent has it. And you really don't need to worry about it until you've got reason to. Gaza Louis correctly bets out. Takes this one down. Well, Musmik has set the trap with the aces. He's got Scottish raise. Now, will he re-raise or will he call and keep this trap going? A long trap, like the mouse trap in the West End. That was the longest of all the traps. He moves. He doesn't move in. He makes the big re-raise. Scotty calls and flops a. Oh no, he doesn't. Sorry, misread the hand. He's flopped a straight draw, and that might make him put the rest of his chips in. It does. Well, I'm afraid I can't endorse Scotty's play there. Ace-10 is not strong enough to call re-raise like that. One of the reasons that Musmik's trap worked, one of the reasons I don't like that play with aces, is that when you re-raise, when the action comes back to you, I think it says aces, it screams aces in fact. Scotty needs to add that to his poker playbook. When a player calls for the minimum in early position and you raise and then they put in a re-raise when it gets back to them, it's almost always aces, sometimes kings. And certainly ace-10 is not going to be ahead of a player doing that. But hey, if that move works, if players are going to call the re-raise, then of course it's a good play. And Scotty has to move all in for the big blind. Dealt the inglorious 5-8. We've got an amazing hand here. Look at this, James, if you've got a second. Kings, queens and jacks.
Goodness.
Quite unusual.
Looks like the internet. No, actually, I don't believe that. It's amazing, isn't it? You watch poker enough, you'll see everything.
He will. And Tavius will be extremely annoyed because he folded his jacks. And he would have had 4 of them. As it is, Musmik is going to take a big pot and bust 2 players in 1. There we go. Tavius would have had the 4 jacks. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Counts for nothing. Might as well have had 2 6 in his hand. Musmik takes down to bust 2 players and we're quickly down to 4. We've reached the prize perimeter, also known as the bubble, also known as the magic curtain. In my head anyway. 4 of them left, and I think you'll see the 3 slightly bigger stacks wait for Tavius to make his move because he's the shortest stack. Tavius pays the big blind down to 500. Well, that's quite a crafty raise by Stevie. Asking Tavius the question if he wants to play this hand. Stevie knows that he's more than happy to call for 500 if he does, but he doesn't. And a horrible situation with Tavius. Well, he probably should move all in now. He doesn't. I know we could see that Big Ad had a good hand, but that was an opportunity to potentially nick a big blind. And if he gets called, he's probably not too far behind, even though he's got a terrible hand, unless the other guy's got a pair or a hand that dominates his. As it is, he tries it with a king 4, and Big Ad again has got a hand, this time a pair of 10s, quite a long way in front. Needs a king or a 4, running diamonds. There's 1 diamond. Couldn't get another one, could he? Nobody can get a 4, my goodness. Makes 4s full of 6s. And stays alive. Fantastic bit of luck for Tavius. And now, he's still a short stack, but he's competitive with the other 2 shorter stacks. Well, jacks for Musmik. I imagine he'll move in here to try and shut out the blinds. Yeah, he does. Correctly predicted. I've just given myself a gold star. A Big Ad, difficult decision, but he calls. And now he'll need an ace, or a 10, or a 5. Doesn't come, and we lose Big Ad in 4th place. Tavius does a little mini Mexican wave in celebration of himself. James, have you brought a Casio keyboard into the studio?
You've got to keep yourself amused.
Yeah, but not when you're trying to run a TV show. Moosemix got all the chips, but for those of you that have seen these tournaments before, that can all change. The blinds aren't actually that high considering we're down to 3 players. Tavius mandatory all in with King 10 in his chip situation. And he picks up the blinds. Moosemix puts the pressure on, and Tavius is faced with a decision. He passes. He can just about afford to do that. He'll have to play this ace for all his chips, I think. And Moosemix's got enough chips to call. I think Moosemix should call here. And he does. I think that's right. And he's flopped a pair of 10s. A queen or an ace would get Tavius out of this. It doesn't happen, and he bravely hung on to claim a money finish, but no more. And we're heads up for the money. Moosemix's got the big chip advantage, and Stevie only needs to double through once or twice, and it would turn around. And Stevie has very few options left. He can probably pass that, but it gets very difficult at this stage because he's getting to the point where he's not competitive at all. Yeah, and I think when you get down to this stage and this few chips, every time you pass, you're making a mistake. But he has picked up a hand, so he may double through here. Although he's not as far ahead as he'd like to be, and he's not even that anymore. He now needs to hit his hand. Hit his hand without it being a spade. It's just got a lot tougher. And Moosemix closes it out. Routine. He decimated the field. His jacks and 7s beat Stevie. Hope you enjoyed the sit and go, guys. Pretty much a demolition job. Are you done? Shh! Don't tell anyone the result. But you can talk.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I thought I might give it away.
Well, don't give it away. You're supposed to be a poker player. You're supposed to give nothing away.
Okay, right, nothing away.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how James got on, and we'll hear his analysis of his play and everyone else's play at that table.
It's great fun.
In about half an hour.
Great fun it was.
Good. I honestly thought that you could be deceptive. Just try, for me.
I might be being deceptive.
You might be double bluff, maybe.
Exactly.
We're going to take an email or two. AA Marco has emailed about rebuys. We were talking about rebuys earlier.
Good.
The multi-table tournament we've shown tonight is a rebuy. I think the first one we've shown on the show. He says, recently played a rebuy, was one of his first rebuys, and he wanted to play it like a sit and go. He had 2 maniacs at the table going all in virtually every hand and rebuying when they got busted. This is often the problem that you'll face in a rebuy tournament. This went on for the whole of the first hour. I tightened up my play and only went in with premium hands. Found myself against much weaker hands and winning. At the first break, I was in the top 10. And he went on to cash. How did he do? He went on to win the tournament. $200 for a buy-in of $1. Nice.
Wow.
Anyway, he says, I've played the same way in these events and made 5 more final tables, winning one of them. Thank you to James for your advice of how to play against maniacs. Absolutely right. You have to wait until you've got the goods, don't you, really?
Yes. But as I said, there's different... You've got to bear in mind, if there's going to be a lot of people in a hand there, well, then you can certainly now play hands which will play well against multi-opponents.
Yeah.
So, and also one where you'll know if it's any good very quickly and know if it's not.
Yeah.
So,
guys, it can be easy to get in touch, and we want to hear from you. You dictate what we talk about, as I always say. Do get the texts and emails in. Poker. Text the word poker. I just said poker and froze. Could do it on worse shows, though. 84222 is the number. Do that on the Antiques Roadshow. People really look at you strangely. Or you can email poker@pokerlightlive.co.uk. We're going to go back to our multi-table tournament. It's a special multi-table tournament tonight. It's the first in a regular series of tournaments for Poker Night Live viewers, such as you. Go to our forum, spokenlive.co.uk, to find out how to get involved. We're calling it the Intercontinental Federation League Series World Challenge Poker Night Live Cup. And let's take a look at its progress. Just came in a little bit too late. We just missed Bronson losing a big pot. Which is a shame for those of us that know him. But I'm told that he did. But he's doing very well. He's on 20,000 chips, which is either the biggest stack or one of the big stacks, certainly. The blinds are 250, 500. So how many chips would we want to be comfortable at this stage of the game, James?
All right, well, we'd look at the round of how much each round's going to cost us, which is 750. So, I mean, if you've got 10 times that amount, then you're sitting fine. So 7,500 or whatever, you're quite comfortable.
And just to tidy up the bits and pieces, we had a little technical problem where we couldn't get all of the info on this tournament, but one of our viewers has kindly sent it in. Thanks to Panaman Creel for filling us in. As we piece together, eventually, 1,500 chips, rebuy tournament, $5 entry fee for the first 1,500 chips.
Right.
And then you could rebuy for $2
for
the first hour.
Oh, that alters the strategy completely.
Doesn't it? And then you could also add on at the end of the first hour for another 1,500 chips.
Right.
And what we've ended up with is a tournament that pays the first 10, and there's $186 to the winner.
Okay. So already there's something to add there because you get a discounted rebuy and you also get a discounted add-on. Well, we'll start with the easy bit to start with. The add-on now, you don't have to increase your stack by a third anymore. You can actually, well, near it. I will just make it simple. You make it, if you increased it by a sixth, it would be fine as well because you're getting it at the discounted price. So that's that first bit. Also, the other bit is you definitely should play a little bit looser than normal because you should try and accumulate chips because the buy-in is at a bargain price and you're getting the same as the starting stack. So this should actually loosen up the action.
Sorry, I was just eating.
Whereas when it's a full price buy-in, you're taking advantage of this extra money being bashed in the pot, but it's only because it's not even half the price now. It's less than half price. It makes a big difference on the maths of it all.
Good stuff.
Does this email tell us how many buy-ins there were and add-ons or not?
No.
That's a bit of information I'm hungry to find out because I would like to know what the total chips in the tournament is. But
well, you can't have everything, James. It's
I
in
know
a perfect
that,
world,
but we'll find out eventually anyway.
Yeah, they'll all be in one person's hands,
Exactly.
won't they? Eventually, we won't have to do any adding. Well, I think this is the business section of the tournament. This is where stacks are built and diminished, the middle stages. And we can see a big difference in the stacks in the tournament and at this table, all the way from 2,500 up to almost 20,000 at this table.
Okay, Fast Bandit there, 9-10. Doesn't look that comfortable a hand to play. And also he's got the problem because Making Jam there has only got 2,500. So one has to have probably a little bit better of a hand because it's quite possible Making Jam might just decide to put all his chips in, which in fact he has done. So that's one of the things one has to look out for. One has to check the size of the stacks of the people that you're playing against.
Just like to say goodbye to Making Jam, one of our regular contributors.
Yes, he was actually in the sit and go as well.
Yes. Absolutely, and really, the easiest players to steal from are middle stacks, aren't they?
Yes, because
as a massively general statement.
Yeah, obviously. No, but it's very accurate because they are sort of like hovering around average stack, and for them it'll cost them. They don't want to sort of waste big blinds basically by calling.
Big decision for Kansas Coyote, isn't it? I think that's probably a good pass. It's an interesting pass.
Yes, the only thing is that Flip was on the button, which must have given him doubts, but It was an awkward situation.
Yeah, it was an interesting one.
More or less was.
He'd have had about 1,500 chips left if he'd have
1,500
called.
chips
If he'd have
left.
called and lost.
Thing is, he's not that. He's not sort of flying in the tournament.
Thing is, I suspect if you do an analysis of that hand, you should probably call, because the times that you're up against a worse ace will make that call pay for itself, I think. Because if you're up against...
Well, you're more
extremely unlikely to be up against a hand that has you in a lot of trouble. It's
right. There's
extremely
only
unlikely.
the one which has you a lot of trouble is obviously aces.
Aces and kings isn't great.
It's
extremely unlikely.
He's suited actually, so he's still got 30% chance against the king.
He has, but it's extremely unlikely somebody's going to move all in from the button with either of those hands. So they've probably got a hand that they're bluffing with, a smaller pair, or a worse ace. And I think if you mathed that out, you actually should probably call in that spot.
His dilemma is he's actually giving up fold equity, i.e. those chips could be used by betting, in which case he's got this magnificent thing called fold equity in his favour. And
he is, but I think
the other thing
I think that.
No, I'm saying, but that's what you've got to put into the equation.
You have, but as you said, he's not flying in the tournament, and he's been given a opportunity there.
Yes, no, I think it looks, to me, it looks begrudgingly. I probably have to play it.
I think the thing that counts against playing it is that people sometimes make that move. You'd have to figure a greater percentage of probability that the player on the button had a small pair, because people do play small pairs that way sometimes.
So where you're a dog in the hand.
And in there you'd be a slight underdog. So that would be the only thing I could find that would argue against making that
but on
call.
the other thing is you've got to look to see, what do I do with these chips if I don't call it?
Yeah.
Well, you could bet next time, and there's probably a certain percentage fold equity anyway. Whatever you've got, it doesn't matter, people don't know, you'll be betting, there's a good chance that they'll be quite like to pass. So you could win 750, possibly without any risk at all.
But then, if you argue that, so this is the kind of guts of discussions about tournament poker. If you argue that, you're almost never going to call, are you? Because
and how bad is that?
I don't know. It's
I'm
an
not
interesting
certain
question.
how bad that is. I don't think it is so bad, because the more and more I'm playing these tournaments, the bigger tournaments, the more and more I want to get less involved with showdowns.
Yeah.
And the more times I want to take chips down without getting to that showdown.
Oh, sorry. That's fine, but the problem is, where does that then become... Where is your cut-off?
Okay.
Where do you get to the... Just to explain, where do you get to the point where...
I'll tell you where my problem is.
Where you need to take advantage of the opportunity to make chips by making those calls.
I think you've got to ignore some of the maths in the game, ignore pot odds, etc., to a certain extent, and many a time just take down a pot without having to get to a showdown. You have to do that a lot of times to really give yourself a feasible chance to win a tournament. Why? Because if you end up all in twice in, we'll call them coin flips, you're 3-1 against to win them both. Well, already that's quite scary, isn't it? 3-1 against to win 2 coin flips.
Yeah.
You're 7-1 against to win 3 coin flips. Now it's getting difficult to win this tournament, because you've got to survive all these stages, and you've still got something to do at the end of it all.
I completely understand the point you're making.
Yeah.
I think the counter argument would be, you'll get to a certain point, and we could argue about whether I can't remember the player's name. We've changed tables. You could argue about whether that player was at that point then or not. That's a separate discussion. Ooh, National Nubis flops a flush. Delightful. The counter argument would be, at a given point, it must be the right thing to do to put your chips at risk because it's a profitable situation. Because with a doubled stack, you're then in a better position to not have to put your chips at risk again, aren't you? Because you then have more leverage, in fact. So there is a value to having a bigger stack as well.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd have probably would probably have swung towards calling that, but
I think it was a really interesting situation. I don't think it's clear cut.
I don't think it's clear cut because it's virtually his tournament life was on the line on that hand.
I think what might
and
have swayed me.
he's probably thinking that he's up against a pair and he's underdog and says, "Why? I'd rather be betting the next hand." Oh,
well,
goodness me.
Nash Anubis should clearly be buying some lottery tickets because he's flopped a flush and now he's flopped quads. Back-to-back hand. I've never even done anything approaching that. That's extraordinary.
Confident. He doesn't want to see a queen, king, or ace. Oh, because it could be another quads coming.
Thanks for that, James. I want to know. I'm going to do it in the break. What the chances are of flopping a flush and then flopping quads, back to back. I think that's going to be a huge number.
I'll give you a bit of poker trivia if you want.
Always. Oh dear, look at this. Bronson's bet into it. Bronson's bet 10,000 into quads.
Not a good idea.
Part of me, because I know him, part of me wanted him to do badly. But because I've never grown up and I'm still a bit of a school playground bully.
Right.
But the other part of me, because I love him dearly, doesn't want to see him that happen. That's horrible.
It was horrible.
He's made a move on the end. Nash Anubis has played it quietly. He's got no way of knowing. Nash Anubis has got flopped 4
and he's looked at
jacks.
it and he's thought, queen 4, I've got queen with a lousy kicker, but, oh look, queens and jacks with an ace. The kicker doesn't mind. He doesn't
think Nash has got an ace because Nash hasn't raised.
Yes, so he thinks, oh, that kicker's now solved my kicker problem and I've actually pinged that 2-pair. Wonderful. And you can understand why he's been fooled, but of course now he's in desperate trouble because the blinds are... What did he pass there? I missed that, sorry.
Queen something.
Whoa,
but Jugglebug's already moved.
Right, yeah, but the blinds are 500.
Yeah, but he's got
around.
He's got 4 hands.
Yes, okay.
To be fair, he's not dead because the blinds have gone up. That doesn't help.
Yeah. No, that actually was an opportunity there. I think he had to play that hand, the previous one, because he would be up against, he'd be protected by the guy raising. He would get the extra money from the small blind and the big blind, and then just has to get lucky. So I think he actually should have played the previous hand. Mm-hmm. Because of that extra money. He needs to get money back because he's so low. Mm-hmm. And that could have been the time to do it.
Yeah, good pointer. I do like watching his multi-tail tournaments. We do get so much out of them. I hope you enjoy them at home. I hope that they do help your game because very good at their tools. And that situation with the ace-king and the big blind I think is fascinating. I think if you asked 20 poker pros what to do there, I think you'd get 20 different rationales. And I think some would pass and some would call. If any of you at home want to do the maths for me, because I'm such a lazy person, of a flopped flush followed by flop quads, I'd love to know.
Oh yes, I was going to give you a bit of poker trivia.
Yes.
You've got a pair of kings.
Have I? Thank you.
And you walk into a pair of aces.
Yes.
And the very next hand, you've got a pair of kings. And you walk into a pair of aces.
Yes.
What's the odds of that? We'll leave you to think on it.
Yeah, and you guys can play along at home. If you're so minded, if you don't have anything more edifying to do tonight and you want to answer those questions, you'll certainly get there before me because, hey, I've got a show to present. A couple of questions there. You've got kings, you run into aces. What are the odds of that happening back to back? And what are the odds of what Nash Anubis just did? Flopped a flush and then flopped quads back to back. My goodness, flopping those 2 hands is good enough. To then have somebody bet into you on the river when you've got quads, Yahtzee. Doesn't happen very often. We've got a couple of emails to do. Geffahumaus. His online nickname, thanks for emailing by the way, is Geffahumaus, is pronounced as nearly as I can get it, Gay Far Mouse. Helped us out there. It's the German for Danger Mouse. Brilliant. I used to ruddy love Danger Mouse. Oh, Penfold and Top Gat and Scrappy Doo, the whole gang. Last night there seemed some confusion about the correct pronunciation. I settled with Geff for short. Well, yeah. You know, we're reading out your name on the telly. You'll take what you're given. Your point about, I'm joking, the less experienced player going all in, every hand heads up, reminded me of the chap who was doing that to me this afternoon at the end of an STT. Very difficult to do anything about. It is. It's extremely difficult to play against heads up. Not help when accidentally folded ace-ace after he'd gone all in. Oh dear, that's nasty. I got him later with 10-10. Would you say it's possible for anyone of moderate or higher intelligence to become a competent player who at least breaks even over the long term? Yes, I don't think you need to have moderate or higher intelligence either, as proved by some of the poker players we see on a daily basis. Joke. What would be the recommended study route to minimise losses during the initial learning process? I think that's a long-winded way of saying what's the most efficient way of learning to be a good poker player. You've got about 30 seconds, James. Good luck.
Okay, well, to minimise losses, as you say, obviously start off playing small stakes, and that's going to minimise losses, and that'll be still be a good learning process. Listen, you've got to study, you've got to buy some books, study the books, and then play some more, put into practice what you've just picked up in the books. Obviously watch Poker Night live every day of the week. That will help as well.
That's a given.
And in the afternoons, if you have forgotten some of it. Listen, I think there's good scope for people. You need patience, you need discipline. If you haven't got those, you might have a problem.
Yeah, sorry to cut across you. I just think you're absolutely right. I think character's more important than intelligence.
Yeah.
There's some very bright people that will never be good poker players, and there's some people who, you know, have low academic intelligence who are great poker players because they've got the right character for it.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so.
I completely lost my thread. It's not a good thing on air, is it? Let's go for another email. This is from Steve. Thank you, Steve. He said, "Hi lads, I've never been to a casino. I play only online. Just wondering where I can find out poker tournaments happening around the UK. Just want to go and play tournaments everywhere, but don't know where to find them." James, how does he find out what's going on?
Yeah, go to sites which will give you forthcoming tournaments. You can go to pokerineurope.com. You can go to a worldofpoker.com. You can go to pokerchatchat.com, and they'll give you a list of all the forthcoming tournaments, and it'll give you what's on in the festivals, small tournaments, etc., etc. They'll also give you casino directories, and they'll tell you what their weekly tournaments are, and they'll be advertising £10 tournaments, £20 tournaments, whatever.
Yeah, and there's more and more happening all the
Blonde
time.
Poker is another site. They've got forthcoming tournaments as well.
Somebody's written us a poem.
Oh, jolly good.
Which I've been told I have to read out. Here we go. This is from Stanters. I didn't write it, all right, so I'm not responsible. It's called Poker Night Love.
Oh.
Most of the guys discuss who is the fairer, the lovely Lindsay, Michelle, or maybe Kara. See, it rhymes. While they discuss their favourite lass, I dream of a 4-hour synopsis from Cass. You're a weirdo, Stanters. I thought Zen used to be in Blake 7, but now I'm so serene I'm in poker heaven. The naughty boys Nick and Matt love to joke and jape, while Dr. Dom discusses the merits of being an ape. How does he know? Mr. Browning is wise, but his jokes are quite corny. Thank God they last no longer than Mark in a tourney. That's good. That's quality. I always thought it was going to end in horny, but he did better than that. These are the people from who I've learned how to stop getting my fingers getting burnt. Yeah. By the deadly gang at the $10 table, most of whom are pretty unstable. You know who he's talking about. There's Bal and Scotty who play it quite tight, and Seat 3 at Sophie getting outdrawn all night. Fast wants to be known as one of the ladies, but usually loses to Gannon his babies. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. So many others, but so little time, as it's the end of my poker night rhyme. I'll love you and leave you with best wishes, so let's all get playing and clean out those fishes. Pretty nice.
Very good.
Kudos, Stanters. I've got one. There was a young lady from Fife. No, I haven't got one. He says, not quite Johnny Keats, so I hope you enjoy it. Well, we did enjoy it, fella. Top effort. Kudos to you. Hope you all enjoyed that little bit of fun. We're going to be back very soon. Keep the text and emails coming in. Lots more poker. This is our phone-in section of the evening. 2 of 3. If it was in the Radio Times, it'd be 2 and then /3, which always used to confuse me. So, why are they expressing programmes as fractions? Let's get to the point. Mike Lacey is on the line. He's our all-Irish poker correspondent, official ambassador to the Celtic Isle on behalf of the show. Hello, Mike.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm grand. How are you?
I am not too bad.
It's been a long while.
It has, at least 5 minutes.
Too long.
Mike, you've got a big tournament coming along there, haven't you?
We have with the Irish Open. It's the 25th anniversary of the biggest tournament that Ireland hosts, so all the stops are being pulled out to make sure it's one of the best in history.
And what sort of field are you expecting in terms of numbers?
The sponsor has guaranteed $1 million payout, so they need 350. So I'd say it'll be 350.
Yeah, bold prediction. Well done.
Yeah.
Now, have you played in the event yourself?
I played last year, yes. It wasn't the most successful tournament for me, but hopefully this year will be a little bit better.
And if any of our viewers are thinking about going over, tell us a little bit about the structure and what they can expect.
Well, it's being held in a hotel in Ballsbridge, which is right in the centre of Dublin. It's just around the corner from the Merrion and Fitzwilliam card clubs. It's got a nice spacious area to play poker. You get 10,000 chips to start, which is pretty standard now. It's going to be a 3-day event. Starts on the Saturday.
How long are the levels?
The levels are 1 hour long.
Good.
And the entry fee is 3,000 plus 200, so it's open to quite a lot of pockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's already loads of qualifiers over here. You should see pretty much everybody from the Irish poker scene, plus most of the top Europeans who aren't going to the Bellagio 225,000 event, which should be there.
And many of our viewers, well, some of our viewers may have visited Ireland to play poker, many will not have. You mentioned in the earlier segment you don't have the same restrictions that we have on poker. What is the situation over there? You can basically organise poker.
Poker is pretty much okay anywhere. I mean, at the moment I'm talking to you from a tournament being held in a pub. Many hotels hold poker tournaments, plus you have the card clubs, which there's about 20 card clubs now in Ireland. Nearly every town has a card club of some description. But because the hotels are allowed to hold them, there's loads of hotels with big enough capacities to have large events. The Irish Open is going to be the first of 4 €3,000 plus events that I know of this year that will be held over here.
So you've got an advantage over Northern Ireland then, because they just had their card club closed.
Yeah, because funny enough, I'm only about 25 minutes from Northern Ireland as we're speaking, so we get quite a few patrons from that side of the border come and visit our games.
Yeah, because there was a club there called, I think, the Cavendish Club.
That's right. They were shut down recently in a rather heavy-handed police raid. It's going through a court case at the moment, similar to the gut shot, I believe. So we'll find out what the story is there.
And we'll all be over to Ireland, won't we? That's
initially, they confiscated the players' money as well, which was horrific. But I'm glad to say they did pay that all back to the players.
They did. They did get the money back in the end. It only took a couple of days to get the money back, but as yet, the card club is still shut. So
dear.
It's a shame.
Now, tell us, point us the way of, apart from yourself, obviously, Mike, point us the way of a couple of Irish players that we may not have heard of over here.
Well, one you may have heard of, but he's not really that well known, is David O'Callaghan, and he's another member of our Antis-Up team, funnily enough, but he was second in the EPT in Barcelona. But since then, his game has improved so much, he'll admit himself that was really just, he had such a run of cards at that tournament. But just this last week, he won 2 tournaments at the same time online on Wednesday night, I think it was. And then he came third in the 500 freeze out at the weekend, and then last night he won his ticket into the Irish Open online.
So, see, I'm convinced that it's not a rush. I just think poker is such a confidence game that if you get that confidence and a big result, you can kick on.
Yeah, I think
well, it is.
Right,
I mean, he's also won about 3 or 4 other live tournaments around Ireland.
Great stuff,
year.
Mike. We've got to stop you there. We will be talking to you again later in the evening. For now, that's all from Mike Lacey. We'll be back with him in about an hour. We've got to go away for a few minutes, but we'll be back very soon. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. This is the second half, and you're not going to believe this, it's actually the better half. Amazing, isn't it, given the quality of the first half lineup. In this half, we'll be looking at Mr. James Browning's tournament performance in Beat the Presenter.
Could be interesting.
With analysis from Mr. James Browning himself.
And Nick Wealthall.
I'll also be analysing, yes, very much so. And we will also see the conclusion of our multi-table tournament, the first leg of our regular Monday night World Series Challenge Intertoto Cup Division 1 matchup. First off, though, we've got an email from Egg23 talking about rebuys, which one of our topics tonight, because the tournament is a rebuy tournament, which we haven't shown on PNL before. He says, whilst you're talking about rebuy tournaments, I've recently noticed that some players are lowering their stack to less than the original buy-in, then rebuying to give them twice the original chip stack. Do you think this is okay practice, as it gives you an early lead? So what Egg23 is saying is that in some rebuy tournaments, as soon as you've got less than the starting stack, you can rebuy, or effectively add on, I suppose. Varies from tournament to tournament. Actually, some sites, one that I play on quite often, you can immediately do that. You can sit down and immediately buy another set of chips. What do you think about strategy there, James?
Well, in this structure here, where the buy-in for the tournament is $5 and the rebuy is $2, it's correct to do it. In fact, you should just actually, if you have to lose one chip, you could just try and limp in, see if you can limp in with one chip. And if not, then just buy in automatically, because you're getting the same stack of chips. It's like you just go to a shop and say, right, you can have 1,500 chips here for $5, or you can have 3,000 chips for $7. You're going to buy the 3,000 chips for $7.
That shop is not going to make a profit, is it?
No, it gets them very cheap.
Yeah.
But you have to take the bargain. This is a bargain.
So what if the cost is the same? So if it's just an argument about chips.
The jury's out. The jury's out. If the cost is the same, it's very, very complicated. It now depends on the makeup of your table. Now, for example, if you've got some players there who you think are not very good players, and they are adopting this tactic and immediately buying in, if you're at their table, you should probably buy in as well, because you say, against him or her, I've got a good chance of capturing all their chips. So you want to be able to match their stack, because this could be your amazing quadruple up straight away. Quadruple up because you've doubled up your stack by buying in, and you hope to catch one of these guys or gals and double up again. So you could quadruple up very quickly.
Cool. Good luck in your rebuy tournament, Egg23. Keep the texts and emails coming in throughout the night, guys. We're going to get through quite a lot in the second half of the show on anything that we've been discussing or anything that you'd like to discuss related to poker. Doesn't matter what your level of the game, as we always say. Text is 84222. It has changed. 84222 is the new number. There it is, represented in a graphic. Text poker and whatever you'd like to ask, 84222. Or if you prefer, you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. I'm on the edge of my seat. I know you are too. James
is on the edge of his seat as well.
is even more excited. Here's being the presenter. This is James's tournament.
Sometimes you forget what went on. They do chat so much, it does distract.
Regular viewers to the show will notice that we're all using each other's accounts because we're all basically crooks. So you are Malcolm Rock in this tournament.
Yes, I'm Malcolm Rock. And I'll have some explaining to do when I see him on Wednesday. Maybe where did he get all the money from?
Just don't tell him.
You'll never know.
So sitting down, which players did you know any of the players?
Yes, I did. I knew. I was aware of Making Jam. Most of the players actually I've come across. We'd seen Posh down there at the bottom.
Skinner, 1977, I think I've seen play.
Hoik, who's a Geordie from Wall's End. Hoik Balls. So Susie's got the top pair there. Bet 60. This is quite refreshing for me now to see exactly what they were up to when I was playing.
It's the beauty of the feature, James.
This is how good it is, isn't it? And I did, as I said earlier, I put a post on the Poker Night Live forum about saying how in these Beat the Presenter games it seems that the games are very, very solid, very tight, and people seem to play extra tight in the Beat the Presenter sit and goes. This started off looking like it was going to be quite lively, then seemed to go back to pattern.
Well, a little bit of a bluff from Hoik.
Okay, FF Club. No thanks. Hay says hi. Limps in with Queen Jack. Hoik. 6 deuce. Malcolm Rock passes his King 10.
That's rock-like play, isn't it?
Certainly
You could
is.
have had late position there. You could have looked at a flop. What's wrong with you?
They could have been in terrible trouble against trips. So it was my poker second sense looking after me. Skinner there with the trips.
Big blind special for him.
Exactly, and that's when, we've said it before, you've always got to be aware of pots where there hasn't been a raise. Remind yourself, has there been a raise? Ask yourself every time, so you don't get suckered into a pot which might well have suited one of the blinds. Well, not much out there. I've got a yucky looking 2-3, don't fancy that much. Raise from Soz Susie. Nick hasn't reprimanded any of my plays so far, I don't think. So it's going well.
And we're still in.
I'm still in. This is a relief.
Yes.
2-4-6. Well, straight draw for club. But Making Jam makes the move. Bet 80.
I think FFF Club could have bet out there because that that board is unlikely to help somebody that's entered the pot voluntarily. His opponent's got very little idea whether it's helped him or not because he's in the big blind, and he's got a good semi-bluffing hand. He's got a straight draw and an ace to hit, so I think he could have bet.
He has, but it's possible he says, listen, it's early stages. I don't need to start fighting, risking my life over not too big a pot.
Oh, here we go. The old early stages malarkey.
Yeah, well, I think I don't think he should be necessarily taking risks there. I think he's still got time to he's got time to find a hand where he can know better where he is, rather than just having to represent and steal and
Making Jam's got the goods here. Top
Yep.
two pair.
And in a nice situation, someone's bet into him.
Well, that's not the greatest card for PFC Boy because it's going to encourage him to play.
Yes, because he's got aces and nines with a king when he thinks that's fine. That helps my dodgy kicker in case Making Jam's got a queen.
Oh,
Oh no, and now he thinks, aha, if he's only got the 9,
if he's got
now
ace
I've
queen or
overtaken
ace
him.
jack or...
Making Jam just puts, oh, well done, Posh.
That's an awesome pass.
Well done, Posh.
Up the posh.
My goodness. Hats off there. Malcolm Rock with Queen King. Limps in.
Oof.
Under the gun.
I've never seen the like.
And look at this, they didn't like the limp. They thought he might have something a bit stronger. And so I'm quite pleased with that. I've got to see the flop.
Gratis. Not gratis, but close to. Now, is there a bet coming here?
Well, I don't know where I am at the moment. It's Posh could have an ace. I'm either chatting or thinking. I'm not sure what
I
it
think
is.
you're probably contributing to the overall presentation of the
Oh,
show.
a 3 comes.
Yes.
Well, I quite like the 3.
See, if I was PUFC Boy, I couldn't resist. I wouldn't have been able to resist betting there.
Well,
Check round twice.
okay.
Got to have a look. $70 in the middle. Well, that's a bluff, isn't it? That's naughty. You figured nobody else wanted it?
Yes, I mean it's funny enough, and it's possible that I'm not sure. The jury's out whether I should have done that as well. Really.
Oh, we've moved on now This is an interesting one. Are you going to raise?
But I was
from the
quite
big
happy to
blind?
take it down without them seeing my cards, actually. Was one of the plus points of that play.
Yeah.
Well, I decided to raise this. I'm hoping it might end up heads up.
Which it does.
Well, I don't like the king. There's 220 in the middle.
Well, you can't be afraid of that king, can you?
Well,
At
I
this
am a bit
stage.
nervous of it, but
What I mean is you've got to bet.
I would hope I do. Oh, I do. I bet 140. And I think it's quite
Nice
a nice
play.
size bet.
Yep. And Sosus wants to limp with the queens.
Yes, interesting play under the gun, limping with the queens. I don't mind it at all in these early stages, first level. And I'm going to limp with my 8.
2 ladies and 2 fat ladies. Everyone gets to see the flop. It's a good flop for the queens.
Yes, it's a better than expected flop for the queens, and also has the queen of clubs, which is quite cute.
Can't check there though. That's not
I don't think you
advisable.
can give it another card, but however, look at this. It's a better flop for Posh, isn't it? Got trip 2s.
Fantastic flop. Hit the set.
The problem is, what does Sozus think? Is it
Well,
with ace?
suddenly it's turned into a difficult hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, but is it with ace jack? Doesn't know. And now commits.
Surely not the running. Oh dear, oh dear.
And
Well,
that's cruel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's unlucky for PUFC.
And Sozus there really was in the dark, because by having checked again, didn't really know what that bet was all about.
See, that's why I just don't like the limp under the gun. Just don't like it with a pair of queens.
Well, why couldn't she have bet them? When
Oh
the-
yeah, definitely she should have bet. Yeah.
And then maybe you've got away from it and not won the pot, as it happens.
Yeah. If she's raised, he's never going to be in there with his 2s in the first
Yeah.
place. All very easy when you can see the cards, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, look at this. I'm flying along at the moment. Yeah, I'm in third
Guaranteed
place.
7th,
I'm in, I'm in third place and I've got ace king. I mean, life's feeling sweet.
isn't it?
Come on, James, do something, for goodness sake.
You're a bit slow, mate. I think I was talking to you,
All right. Made it 120.
giving you the benefit of that doubt.
3 times the big blind. Oh, I was faster than Skinner. He's really slow. Okay. I don't mind that.
No, never begrudged the blinds.
Soz. No, Skinner. Pretty motley looking hand there. Be even more motley if you saw what his opponent had. And he passes anyway. No complaints from me there. My God, I'm hitting some cards here.
You're ace king tastic, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, stick to that 120, I think. And there's not going to be any takers there. Nope. So, got some hands, but didn't get anyone with any hands to fight with, really.
Yeah, well, not too much you can do about that, is there? Unfortunately. This is Poker Night Live, guys and girls, if you didn't know. I'm Nick Wealthall, I'm with James Browning, and we're watching him play under the name Malcolm Rock in a tournament he played in the last hour. If you're in that tournament, we'd like to hear from you. Well, we'd like to hear from you, whatever your state of play tonight. Anything you like connected with poker, guys, is good for us, and we'll deal with it live on air. 84222 is the text number, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk on the emails.
Here I've got a decision. I've got ace queen in the big blind, Nick.
You have.
And Skinner has raised. What would you be doing?
Well, I don't know much about Skinner, so I wouldn't be happy.
Okay, I pass.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that at all.
I'm out of position.
Yeah.
I don't know what his hand is. I'm only guessing now. I'm in the dark. I could be really on the wrong side of it. It could be an ace king he's got or whatever. Plus, there's a good chance he's got position he's going to be making a continuation bet. So basically, I'm not even like 2-1 to hit my flop, because if I hit my ace, I might be wary because he raised. In a way, I'm sort of half in to hit a queen is probably what I want to do. So now I've got far less likely to hit my flop, so I'm more likely to be asking a question. I've got more chips than I've started with. Why do I need that hassle? I don't think I need to guess at that moment. So I think I would rather be a better, giving my opponents the problem, rather than give myself a problem. So I passed it.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think that volunteering to play hands out of position is something you want to do very selectively at this game.
If I was really low on chips there, and etc., it might be I decide, okay, this could well be, and I could have a different frame of mind. But I didn't need to panic there, so.
No.
King, Queen. Oops, there's a raise there from Heisei with 10-9. I passed my King, Queen. Look at this, it's called by Ace-4. And Skinner with a pair of 9s.
Oh, good flop for the pair of 9s.
Bets 120. And takes it down. No regrets at passing King, Queen there. Making jam, Ace-10 in latish position on the cutoff. Yep, he makes it 80, 40 with 40. Worked well. 2 of passes just down to the big blind. Could well have the better hand against one opponent, which he's got, but
Fabulous
this is a pretty good flop, isn't it?
Fabulous.
Straight draw and flush draw. And making jam, oh my goodness. And he's re-raised. And does that club save him? Does club declare his hand? Not well. He's bet it. Making jam passed. A beautiful flop for Queen, 7 of clubs.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
9-5 for me, no good. Ace-King for Soz there. Well, I think we see something here.
Yeah, Hoy elected to limp in first position with a pair of 5s, which is not a play I like.
And what we see now is we're up to the 3rd level, and we've still got 7 players.
Yeah, Hoy re-raises, and that's interesting, because it kind of looks like aces or something.
Well, Hoyk's only got 1 play here, that's the push. Gets called. Deep breath. Oh, okay, 9s and 5s.
Just sneaks home.
Just as well it wasn't a 6, otherwise he'd have lost it. So,
interesting hand.
Fortunate one for Hoyk. Played a small pair very strongly. Which is the jury's out noise. Judge Judy. We'll bring her in.
Feisty, isn't it? That's her main thing. Feistiness. That's what she's made a career out of.
She's good. 10-3-4. Which makes an up and down straight for Hoyk. Hoyk and I were reminiscing over the Spanish city in Whitley Bay. Used to be a fixed fairground. With the Big Dipper, the Tunnel of Love and the Waltzer.
It's back in the early 1920s.
Yeah. Thank you. He's been rather rude to you there, Hoyk. Don't listen to him. Oh, look at this.
Bold.
Look what he's done to me here. Look.
He's beating you up there, James. He's saying, I know that Browning's a rock.
But that's fine, because he's actually got chips. And he has that license to do that. He's got over 2,000. He's got me well covered. he can take liberties, and he did, and so that's a good play. So well played, Hoik.
Yeah.
Queen 4. I decide not to play. I'm actually now thinking that's my blinds gone. Surely these guys are going to start having a bit of a battle here. I'm hoping we're going to have a little bit of carnage.
Mm. There you go. You're folding 78% of the hands you're dealt, James.
Feels like more. Skinner and Hayes are the tightest. As we see Skinner putting all his chips in the middle with King Jack.
Hayes.
Hayes put all his chips in with King Jack.
Yeah, that's one way to play. Shove them in. Works out this time. Of course, the thing with going all in all the time is the time it doesn't work is the last time, isn't it?
That's right.
He's going to keep it going, though. I wonder if he'll get called by Skinner in the big blind. You folded so fast there, you almost beat Hoyt's cards into the pot.
Making jam, deliberating. Skinner there. Don't think he's going to like that. I think he's quite justified in passing.
Yeah, it's not big enough to call. His stack isn't big enough to call this.
No,
bet,
and that's he's put in a size of bet which still hurts considerably. Hoik with 7-9. Our chip leader Hoik there, but pass. And Skinner raises from the small blind, takes it down.
Oh, that's nice when you double the big blind and he doesn't even want to play. That's
okay.
Free money.
Percentage of played hands 1. Someone had 100%. I think I had 80% at that time.
That was like one of those tests they do where they flash up an image.
Yeah.
And you have to see how much you can remember of it.
Perhaps they'll give us a second chance.
No, that's your lot. There's a test at the end.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right. How much did you remember?
Exactly.
What colour coat was she wearing?
Oh, another bite of the cherry.
Green. Skinner, 100% played hands 1. Hoik, 83%. James, 80%. The rest...
Trading in your wake.
trading there. Skinner, impressive record. Very impressive record.
Well, Hoyt has to call here. I don't know what he's contemplating. I don't understand that. 4-1 from the pot with position over the other player. I'd have called. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, he's well chipped up as well, so he actually has got enough probably to have a look.
So Sue's all in.
Yeah,
And,
good play. Good play under big pressure, and I like that play. There might be a tad of fold equity there.
He says hi with the tough decision. Half his stack.
Wow,
Ace-10.
look at that. See, you got the ace-10 to pass. What fold equity there was.
Extraordinary.
And that is why decisions like that is what makes me deliberate so much on these when you have to call in a situation which might be close. Because that is wonderful.
It's a tight table, isn't it? It is.
Well, it's amazing. We're up to 81-60 and we still have 7 players, Nick. So basically everybody is actually getting into trouble because each round is going to cost us 240. Oh my goodness, we only start with 1,000 chips.
Right.
And the average, yeah?
Hay says hi. Moves in again. Mandatory move in. with 750 chips, of course. Well, he could call. But if he's going to raise, he should move in.
Yeah, the average chips is only 1140 or something. And
so with that in mind...
You've got less than 5 rounds. Everyone's got, the average chips has got less than 5 rounds. It's big pressure here.
So with that in mind, are you, and the fact that it's a tight table, are you contemplating making a move at some point?
Oh, yes, I am. I am contemplating, but I'm also looking to see, I don't mind, my chances of winning the tournament will increase if maybe some of the small stacks knock each other out. Because the tournament becomes easier to win if there's less people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking for that as well, because everybody's under pressure, virtually, apart from the leader. It's a strange game. So I was tempted there, but my hand, I was worried there about Soz Suze, because Soz Suze only had 380 chips, and I felt could well call. And I didn't think my hand was quite strong enough because of that. If Soz Suze had had more chips, I'd have actually made a move in that situation. But
yeah.
I was put off because she only had less chips. So therefore my standard of hand, I wanted to be better that time. Because I still feel with 900 I can get people to pass. But the low stack might be the problem. Because as you said before, it's sort of like middle stacks who are easier to sort of manoeuvre.
Yeah. I mean, just to clarify that, obviously large stacks can afford to call with lesser holdings, and small stacks are desperate to double up at some point.
So that's why I turned down that little window of opportunity with my King 7.
Sure.
As it happens, we can see how to beat against King Jack, so it was, thank goodness, probably. Not that one result makes a difference, because it doesn't. It's just part of the whole myriad of possibilities. Well, I'm looking at this. I've got 10 Jack suited. I've been very quiet. And I decide...
Surely not. The big move.
The big move.
You don't want to take the blinds again.
And, well, I want to try and get them if I can. So
yeah, I'm saying you don't want them to go through you again, do you?
Also, as we know, 10 Jack suited plays is actually favoured against the lower pairs, which might call me. And also, because I've been quiet, I think there's a good chance it'll pass.
Bold play from Browning, and successful. Oh, yeah.
And the other reason was because Soz Suze had built up her chips again, so now was going to be not so desperate, was out of that desperate mode. So that's why I picked that one, as opposed to the hand, the King 7. So
yeah.
Just to try and give you my thought process there.
Very good, and it's worked out. Bold play from FFF Club. Well, it's a tight table, and there's certainly...
Desperately hoping for a good hand on the big blind, and it doesn't come. The time you want to pick one up. And Ace-9 passes from Skinner there. Hay says hi. Doesn't do anything. Hoik.
Is he going to push you around? No, he gives it up.
He gives me a walk.
This table's getting tighter and tighter.
Lovely
Just
time to
start
get
pushing
a walk.
in every hand. How can it go wrong? Nobody's calling, nobody's playing. They're all playing like it's the first round of the World Series.
Yeah.
Got to take some risks, guys. The blinds are going to go up. And it'll be out of your hands.
Well, we've had a bet there from FF Club. 8-4 doesn't look tempting at all. Neither does 7-4, I wouldn't imagine.
And interesting that he's just doubled the big blind, and this table's so tight that doubling the big blind is probably the right thing to do, isn't it? Because why put more chips at risk when people are folding?
Shouting out raise, and actually he could get away from it if he's walked into a hand there.
I don't usually like double the big blind raises, but on a table this tight, if people are prepared to fold to them, you might as well do them.
I was deliberating there, but again, I'll tell you why I didn't. It's because I've now found I've got a round to go. So I thought, actually, I don't need to just push with King 4. I don't like it being as small as a 4. I'd like it to be the kicker to be a little bit bigger. And I thought, I've actually got a round to go. Surely now something's going to have to happen here because these blinds are still quite high. I'd quite like to see a bit of carnage.
Everyone's waiting for
Or
everybody
find
else.
a better hand.
Everyone's waiting for everyone else.
Because I'm not really finding hands particularly, so now... well, there's a proper hand. Ace, Queen. And look at the blinds. We're up to the 5th level now. 163.20, still 7 players.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible, isn't it?
Pretty tight. Can't stay tight for too much longer. The poker police will be round, and they do exist, so don't say that they don't.
What colour uniform do they wear?
Black and red, obviously.
Oh, right.
Unless you're playing the 4-colour deck.
I do have all the different suits.
All the suits on, they come round, they say, look, lads, this is boring, you're on TV, start moving your chips.
Or I'll hit you with a club.
Yes. Good. That'll teach them.
Well, I've got 1140 there, so I'm actually hovering in 4th place there before I put my big blind in. Desperately hoping for a decent hand there, of course, the big blind with 320 in it, but not to be. Hoyk's got a real hand against me. He's going to raise it up for sure. He does. No choice, I've got to pass.
Oh dear.
But to save me being suspicious, Hoyk actually revealed that he had ace-jack.
Did he?
He showed his hand.
Just trying to set you up for the big bluff next time.
Oh, I thought he was being nice too.
Perhaps he was being nice.
Right, ace-4, I'm thinking, well, I might well be making the move here. From the small blind, I'll certainly be attacking my big blind here if it gets round to me. I'm sort of doing my press-ups, taking deep breaths, I'm ready.
You're pumped.
Oh, all of a sudden there's a raise. So I have to de-pump, which makes a funny sort of noise. And
Yeah.
and now I definitely de-pump because there's now a re-raise.
Yeah.
I decided to be a spectator.
Aggressive play with the 6s. The slight problem he's got is that Skinner's almost certain to call.
Oh yes, definitely. I think he knows that though. But Hoyk's been quite flamboyant and does seem to like the small pairs. There we go, 8 to 10. The 6s are doing fine.
Straight draws as well now.
Straight draw for Skinner.
6s hold up.
Not to be.
Finally, we lose a player.
Yep, we do. And I think, oh well, at least we've got one more player gone. Now I see the situation. I've got Jack 10, and I see I'm against 2 players who've actually got slightly less chips than me. One who's got quite a bit less than me, and one who's got slightly less. And they're both the blinds, and I decide, although it's not a monster, now, although I think they're going to probably play, I think this is a value time to maybe just get back in the tournament. I see the flop, I'm singing and dancing, there's 1650 in the middle. All of a sudden, there's a bit of competition there. Oh, come on, runner, runner it went. Nick.
What? No, it's not funny. Yeah. No justice is
2
there.
pairs in the flop, it goes runner, runner. Ouch.
Yes.
Why, if it's not funny, why are you smiling?
Well, I mean, you didn't have the best hand at the start when the money went in, so I don't think you can complain.
Okay. I thought that I picked a situation which had a different type of value to it.
Okay. I'm not sure you did.
All right. Well, I think the Jack 10 against 2 random hands does reasonably well. And I think equity-wise that will work out quite well, because if you get 2 opponents, the Jack 10 plays quite well, can create hands which can beat 2 opponents.
Oh, and then you go out. to a running flush.
Yes.
So there we are. Brutal. Well, you managed 5th.
Yes.
Not very good, but that's where you finished.
So,
Funny tournament, very tight.
yes, amazingly tight. So it's taken all that time for us to sort of get down to 4 players.
Any regrets? Do you think you should have maybe gambled a bit sooner, given how tight it was?
I think, no, not really. No, I think I was reasonably happy with how I played. I think if I look back at that, I don't think I think I've avoided trouble quite a lot of times. I don't regret passing the ace queen, even though I see the guy had ace 10. That was early on. Got off to a reasonable start. Then no hands, basically. I was pleased when I made a push with jack 10. I thought that was quite good, well timed. And I was quite pleased with that one. I thought that was a correct play against one guy who had actually less chips than me, and the other one, a guy who had virtually the same as me. Because if the one with less chips against me comes in, and the other one doesn't, then there's extra chips in the middle. If the other one comes in, and the one on the small blind doesn't come in, there's extra chips in the middle. And if they both come in, the jack 10 is a sort of hand which can beat 2 players. Because it could make a straight, etc. So I think it was a good opportunity to push in for that reason.
And if basically you don't have too many, you've got about 4 chances, haven't you, before you hit the blind.
And when they both go in, I think it's quite nice because I could still win a side pot because the small guy might win the main pot, then I could win the side pot against the other one. The whole combination there means that the situation actually smoothed out my fluctuations somewhat.
Yeah.
Because they've both got different levels of chips. So it was because of that reason I spied this little situation, and that's why I think it's quite interesting, because I think it's a more interesting situation than normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of one had half the size stack of the other one, etc.
FF Club just flops a straight to
Yeah,
turn the
3,
tournament.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Turn the tournament on its head.
My goodness.
He was in terrible shape as well against King 6.
He was, because Hoik there had the 3, 4, 5, 6 and the big kicker. Cruel there for Hoik. Well, clubs found 7s. How does he feel about that? He likes it.
Trying to turn Sosu's big blind into dead money. But Sosu isn't having any of it. And this could be the end of the tournament if FF Club calls. Could all end in a blink. Or a cough.
Or both.
It's going to, unless a 6 comes, or now several cards for Hoik would keep him alive.
Not to be.
No.
And there we go.
Well, do you know what? I think that's the first time I've seen that in all of the sit and goes I've seen on Poker Night Live. Have you seen it?
What, for 1 to knock out 2?
Yeah.
No, I think I have seen it, but it's rare. It is rare.
You're like the bloke in the playground that goes,
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I don't know if viewers have. There we are. Look at that final hand.
FF. He's the orange one.
You're the red one, James.
I'm the red one.
Kind of bumbled along, started off poorly, tailed off in the middle, and then the end was a disaster.
No, started off okay. It went upwards, carried along steadily, and then faded. But everyone played. Look how solid it is. Everyone's so solid there, aren't they? Look how long. It's just like flat lines. Flatlining.
Flatlining. So 5th place. It's not brilliant, is it?
What have my 2 pair holds up?
You lost your money.
What have my 2 pair held up?
What?
If the 2 pair held up.
Oh, now you sound like a loser.
No.
If the cards have been different. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
thought you were a pro.
I am.
Sorry, I should stop ribbing you. It's very easy for me sitting here to laugh at you.
Do you think I should have done something else in the tourney? That's what I'd be interested to hear.
I don't know.
Did you spy any openings where you think I should have done something which I
Nothing
didn't?
obvious. I think the only point of interest is that the tournament was so tight that maybe there's an argument for starting to move in, regardless of cards, just based on whether or not there are tight players in the blinds, and just trying to start picking up chips. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because you're basically, if you don't do something unconventional, the tournament is going to come down to not a complete crapshoot, but basically it's going to come down to the cards.
Right.
Because it becomes so much more random.
This is the same as I wrote about, basically. I've actually ended up in a situation there where I've got myself in the last 5 in a situation where basically I'm all in the first time I'm at a showdown, and if I win that, I'm above average chips, risking my life once. Can't be bad. If you keep on doing that, you'll end up winning.
You two can finish 5th.
You two can keep on finishing 5th. No, if you do end up...
I'm being flippant, James.
Can you see the point?
I can see the point.
Yeah. So it's minimum... So just
but
by...
we're just kind of spitballing here. Might there be an alternative approach whereby if the table's very tight, you play aggressively? What are you going to do? Are you
going to put in big raises with small blinds and win small blinds? Your risk-reward ratio is out of sync if you do that.
Well, I think we saw that a small raise actually was picking up blinds occasionally there.
Yes,
maybe that could have been tried. I don't know.
I tend to perhaps limp in with lots more hands and see
because
if we can loosen up.
I can't say hand in heart I would have done anything different to you. I'm just wondering whether there is another strategy if you find yourself in a sit and go like that, as I probably will do at some point in the near future, because it was so tight.
Yeah. To me, that's when I look back at that, when I'm happy, I think, yeah, I'm going to win quite a few sit and goes from where I was.
Okay.
I still think I'm going to win quite a few from that spot, although it was incredibly tight.
Yeah.
If I'd found some of the hands I found earlier, slightly later, that would make a difference as well. But no, I know that one wins tournaments from there.
Yeah.
And, I've played a lot of sit and goes. These are, in fact, tighter than I've ever known. And it's actually a fast structure. So it's a mix of two things. It's a tight tournament and beat the presenter, and a very fast structure, which it is. And it's going to create a lot of fluctuations.
But the brilliant thing is, you were using another player's account.
That is the best tactic.
That is a good.
That's good advice for everyone,
isn't it? This is from Hoik Balls, who was playing that tournament.
Yes.
He says, "Hi there, James and Nick. Thanks for contacting us, Hoik. He lives in Edinburgh now. Used to be in Wallsend, Spanish City on a Saturday night. Something James knows about. Have a lot of fun there.
Yeah, a lot of fun in Spanish City.
Never been myself. Sure, I will.
Missed out.
I've missed out.
Yeah, too late now. It's been pulled down.
Enjoyed Beat the Presenter tourney. Just trying to get over the loss. It's great to hear your promise on my play, but Nick, do you think you can manage a bit more than Anyway, let me explain my plan. Look, I've been talking for hours. Occasionally, it's just going to be a sound. I'm sorry. He wants to explain his play when he limped in with 5-5 in early position, so let's have a listen to this. It's a play I don't mind doing. I'm getting good implied pot odds. Once I've limped and then got raised, I might normally have folded, but I re-raised for 3 reasons.
Good, let's hear them.
Firstly, I put the guy on high cards rather than the pocket pair. I've got a problem with that. I'll come back to it. Secondly, if it folded round to a heads-up situation... Okay, so it's heads up. And lastly, there was a chance he might fold. As it happened, my 5s held up nicely. I'll go with the last bit. You're getting to try and put the hand down. I understand that. I really hate it when people say what you said for the first thing, which is that you put the other guy on high cards rather than the pocket pair. Hoik, you don't know. You don't know. And if you do know, then you need to start passing on your secret, because basically you're being psychic. If somebody raises in a late position, I'm sorry, you've got no way of knowing whether they've got ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, a pair of jacks, a pair of queens, a pair of kings, a pair of nines. You don't know. You put him on 2 high cards. Based on what? I just don't think you can play poker that way. I know that you get information from other people's bets, and that's how we advocate that you play, but an initial raise means a basket of hands, normally.
Yep.
But that basket of hands includes hands that put you in a huge amount of trouble if you've got a pair of 5s. If he does have an overpair, you're in serious shtuck. And the reason you're putting him on 2 big cards is because that's better for you. And you need to not do that, because you'll end up losing chips that way. What do you think of his play, James, when he tried the re-raise? He tried to get him to throw his hand away, basically.
Yes, I mean, no, I don't mind that, but I just back you up. I think it's very dangerous thinking you know exactly what hands people have got. I prefer Nick's idea of a basket of hands. And I think generally you've got to be a little bit careful of overplaying small pairs. only possible thing is here is this, as we said, this was a tight table, so maybe that is one of the things. Maybe one can play the small pairs a bit more aggressively.
I've got much less of a problem with him trying to make a move on someone. That's legitimate.
Yeah.
I think entering the pot in the first place was a mistake because it put him in a situation where he was putting chips in jeopardy out of position.
Yeah, what I would say, regarding the small pairs generally, if you're in a slower structured tournament, I would say just don't play them that way. You will get yourself into a lot of trouble. And I would say certainly play them far more as a drawing hand in a slower structured tournament.
There's another bit to your email, Hoik, and both these bits tap into something that I've been talking about more and more, which is the overemphasis people put on starting hands in Hold'em. He said, James, how can you not back me up with my King-Queen play? Do you remember it? He had King-Queen.
Actually, I missed it. He had King-Queen. I just turned around. I know he had King something, but that explains it now. Yeah, carry on. I remember it. He was on the...
yeah. He limped in, but someone raises, and Nick moans about me not calling. Yeah, you liked it better when I just did a sound, didn't you? Hey? What about King-Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot? James's motto.
Quite right.
I would normally have called, but I thought I'd be a good student in front of James and fold to a raise. Okay. The problem with this game, Hoik and everybody else, is that it's situational. James says King-Queen is king in the unraised pot. He says that as a guideline, and a lot of the times it's absolutely on the money. But
more times than not, it's on the money.
More times than not, it's on the money.
Yeah.
But you can't have fixed rules for this game of poker. For any fixed rule you create, somebody can come along and create a scenario where you should actually use a different rule, in my opinion. In that situation with King-Queen, there were several factors which meant you should have called. It was only double your initial bet, so you were getting 4-1 from the pot. Was it 5-1, 4-1? So there's the blind as well. You had position on the guy. It was a small blind that raised you, so you're going to have position on him for the rest of the hand, which is a big factor. And you had him covered in terms of chip stack.
In fact, you were comfortable in chips. That is the big point.
So I just don't like folding there because you're leaving money on the table in that situation.
I think the big thing there was your chip situation. So I agree with what Nick's saying certainly about position, obviously, no argument there, and that your chip situation could afford it. If you couldn't afford it, I think the rule stands and you say, well, I don't want to start having a guessing game here against a raiser, and I think it would be fine. More times than not, I still will back up what I say on this rules in the land of the unraised pot. The more I watch it, the more I see it holding up. But I agree with Nick entirely on this situation.
I just think that
this is an exception.
I just think that in all, I will cover, this covers all the books that have ever been written, all of the DVDs I've seen, all of the teaching I hear about poker, Hold'em rather. People are placing too much emphasis on the first two cards they're dealt. Now that doesn't mean it's not important. If you get that wrong, you're in serious trouble. You have to get that right. But what they're trying to do is construct rules for when you should enter a pot. And those rules are useful when you start learning, but if you want to become an excellent poker player, you need to understand that it's situational. And what hands you play when, and what hands you can play as your starting hands completely depend on the circumstances.
As it happens, the rule about the King-Queen there had an indirect plus point for you there, because in fact, by you limping in with it, it created this situation where you, as a person who had quite a lot of chips at the time, were now in quite a nice pot odds situation, which was created by you limping to start with, and by then just getting a small raise from your opponent who was worried about you limping in early position.
Yeah. Interesting stuff for you. Thanks for the email, buddy. I hope you didn't think we were having a go at you there. We're just trying to give our opinion, give you some constructive advice. Very quickly from Kev. Kev, you're a superstar maths genius and you've got too much time on your hands. He's answered the odds questions. I'm just going to do the second one. The odds of flopping a flush, we haven't checked this. This is according to Kev. We'll have a little look at it. But according to Kev, the odds of flopping a flush, then flopping quads back to back, which happened to Nash Anubis, is roughly 7 million to 1. Which I can believe.
Wow.
We'll check it. We're going to check it. Guys, we're going to have lots more poker action really soon. But first of all, we're going to do a bit more of our phone in. Let's see if Mike's there. Welcome back to the segment of the show that's so good it's replaced Nick's Poker Corner. This is our phone-in segment of the evening. The last chance to dance with our Irish correspondent, Mr. Mike Lacey. How are you, Mike?
I'm not too bad.
How's the last hour been for you? Good?
It went very quick, funnily enough.
It's magical, isn't it, being on the telly? Now, Mike, we were talking a little bit about the Irish poker scene, and you pointed the way of somebody called O'Callaghan. Can't remember his first name.
David O'Callaghan.
I'll be competent at this if I do it for a few more years. Throw us some other names into the poker mix for us.
Well, a couple of players who I know are definitely playing that some other people wouldn't have heard of. Younger players who could surprise at the event will be players like Mark McMahon, all his family play poker in Ireland, so he would be well known over here, but not really well known outside of these shores. He's just about to come back into form. Then we've Oliver Boyce, who won the World Speed Poker Open on TV a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
His game has come on a lot since he won that. He's another player who will say that the first one he won, he was lucky in spots, but he's had the sense to work on his game, and he's been winning a lot online and live as well. And then, of course, you've got people like Andy Black and Donica O'Day, who should be here and be the ones that people are really watching out for.
Well, Andy Black's a fantastic player, isn't he? I mean,
he's
a top flight player.
But he has the hindrance now of being a player who everybody wants to beat.
Right.
Which is great if he gets cards.
What about Padraig Parkinson? Is he there?
I would imagine Padraig would be over for it. He doesn't tend to miss the Irish Open. But
he's a character
Padraig
to add a
hasn't
bit
had
of flavour
for
to
a
the
while,
event.
but he's still a very, very good player.
And tell me, Mike, have you seen, obviously the internet boom has affected everybody. Have you seen it affect Irish poker specifically?
If anything, it's really boosted the live poker scene in Ireland.
Yeah.
Everybody can get online and play poker. All the online sites tend to do qualifying events for live events. Once you get a player into a live event, they're going to want to come back for more because it's so much better than sitting at home in front of the computer.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are advantages of playing online. There's the amount of games, and if you get knocked out of one, you can be straight back into another, but you can't beat live poker.
I think the magical thing is to have a combination of the two. I think actually internet sites now are doing these things to get people to the live tournaments. I think they realise they're going to lose players there, but they think, well, probably a combination is the happy medium to go for.
Oh, definitely.
Are you seeing a lot of younger players playing live, Mike?
Yes, we are. I mean, I do a free roll once every week, which it's free to enter and it's €10 to rebuy, and that's very popular with the younger players who are on a lower budget. And it gets them a chance to have a shot at a bigger event because all the prizes at those tournaments are tickets to a bigger tournament. So
yeah.
There's a lot more younger people. There's a lot of young students in Ireland that would be classed as professional poker players.
Right.
They're paying their way through college playing poker.
Yeah, internet poker came too late for me. I had student grants and everything.
Only a few years, I'm sure.
Yeah, many years ago, of course. And what was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. If somebody wanted to go to Ireland and play some poker, obviously you've given us a little insight into the fact that there are card rooms and also the tournaments take place in hotels. Where would they go to find out what's on and what they can expect?
Well, if you go to our website, then we list most of the major tournaments.
And that's Antiesup?
Antiesup.com. If you go, we have a little section there. It's called Tournaments, funnily enough. And if you go there, it's got all the card club tournaments, mainly the Dublin area, but some of the other areas are covered as well. We also have a forum which caters for the whole of Ireland. So if somebody's starting up a tournament, then they can post it up there, and everybody learns about it that way.
I can see lots of our viewers proposing romantic weekends away to their girlfriends tomorrow.
I would say if you come to Ireland, it doesn't matter where you go, you'll be within 10 miles of a card game pretty much every night.
I'm
somewhere.
so jealous.
That sounds good.
We're not, are we?
Just want to point out that's, of course, a poker ante, which is ANTE. So it'll be ANTES-up.com for you there.
James,
the one, yeah.
With the spelling. Mike, it's been great to talk to you. We're coming to the end of our time together. I hope you've had fun, and I hope we get to hear from you again. Bit of information on Irish poker for you there, guys. Obviously, just a short hop away. If you fancy it, sounds good, doesn't it? We're going to be back in a little bit. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. We are in the last hour of this Monday night, Tuesday morning edition of Poker Night Live. If you're with us now, you're the hardcore. Oh, yeah.
And they're here for the best.
Is this the best bit?
Well, you know we always get...
The multi-table tournament final.
Yeah, you get excited then?
I get excited. I peek around now, in a body clock sense. I'm just saying that to try and convince my body and my eyes, which are currently almost bleeding through tiredness, that it's true.
In other senses, he often peaks earlier, but off we go.
Many of them just don't peak at all. It's all troughs. That isn't possible. It would just be a flat line. I've got diverted. We still want your texts and emails, guys. You've still got an hour to get them coming in. Balrog's emailed us. One of our...
Regs.
Is that what we're calling them now?
Yeah, regs. One of the regs.
Bit geeky. Morning, Nick and James. Rebuy multi-table tournament was great fun. It was good to play a multi-table tournament with such a high percentage of people I've seen play before. Certainly makes it more interesting, doesn't it, if you know somebody's moves. Good idea. Kudos to, actually, we haven't said this, Shelby YXTC is the guy on the forums whose idea this was and who set it up. Excuse me. And it's gone. Who set it up, the Poker Night Live tournament for regulars every Monday, which we're going to have. So well done to him. The line in the poem from Stanter's, Gan's Babies, refers to pocket fours. He's obsessed by them. You won't mind me saying, says you. So that's that mystery cleared up. And then he wants to talk about rebuys and ways of playing them. He didn't do it tonight, but he often likes to allow the first blind phase to pass and then rebuy, effectively doubling his stack in the first round of hands. So that's what we talked about earlier, tournaments where you can double your stack straight away. Gives me a chance to join a couple of early all-ins if I feel the urge. It's often paid dividends in such tournaments, giving me a healthy stack and in the rebuy period. I usually only allow myself a set number of rebuys. This is what I was pushing James towards as to whether he did that or not. And I force myself to be disciplined enough to walk away after I've reached my predetermined limit. The value of the rebuys in this new tournament have caused me to rethink a little, and next week may try something different. Well, yes, as we discussed in the tournament on Monday night on Poker Night Live, the rebuys are 2/5 the price, 40% the price of the initial stack, so they're good value. What tips do you have on approaching the rebuy period of such games? Well, we talked about this earlier, Balrog. James, just on the subject specifically of setting a predetermined limit, would you ever do that? Do you think there's any circumstance where you should do that? He's saying no.
No, I don't. Because basically what you should do is you should think in your mind, you're just walking along the strip in Vegas, all of a sudden you say, tournament started, but come on, you can buy in still for $5. In fact, in this case, $2. But let's say it's a standard buy-in. Buy-in for $5, plus point is there's a lot of added money. Because all the buy-ins are the added money. And you'll say, that sounds quite good. I've got less chips than other people, but there is added money in here. So basically, the things are getting balanced out by the added money from the rebuys.
And so there's no point at which that becomes...
Yes.
The stacks are so big.
You can find it, in the very last stages, it depends, the criteria you've got to look at is how many times do they raise the blinds during the buy-in period. Now, if they were to raise those too dramatically, yes, it would be incorrect to buy in, because if the big blind was too big, or let's say it was the size of your buy-in, well, you're just in absolute crapshoot now. You've got no play left. But as long as you've still got some play left in relation to the blinds, the added money will compensate enough for you to be correct to buy in. Does that help?
It does help, yeah. I hope that helps you guys. It's helping me, as I boldly announced earlier on. I haven't played a rebuy tournament for about 3 or 4 years.
He's going to be a reborn rebuyer.
I might be. I'll give it a try.
I'll
give it a try.
The RBRB.
My producers just told me I'm scared.
No, you're not. I know you're going to try it. You are going to try it.
Of course I'll try it.
Try it.
Is there a £2 rebuy anywhere?
No, you've got to do it. There's a bit more pain, I'm afraid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's got to be pain, otherwise you don't play properly.
So you know you've overcome your phobia.
Come on.
Rebuy phobia is gone from your
Play
system.
rebuys. Let's all go mental. Guys, lots more texts and emails later on. Keep them coming in. The text number is 84222. I learned that tonight. I've mastered it. I know you can too.
I was impressed you learned it so quick.
It's amazing, isn't it? My capacity to learn 5 numbers is almost legendary. And you can email us, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We'd love to hear from you. Still plenty of time to get your email read out and dealt with on air. Now, good news, folks. The final table of the multi-table tournament. Our first leg of the Poker Night Live Pro Circuit Tour Challenge Champions of Champions Intercontinental Cup.
Yeah.
Here it is. That's getting tiresome, isn't it? I'm annoying myself with it now.
You've annoyed everyone with it now.
Yeah. That completes the set now that I'm annoyed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Anyway, this will be happening every Monday night. It's for all you
What, you saying that every Monday night? Oh no, we're switching off.
I know. Don't worry, I won't be on a Monday night again. Not after that debacle. Great new feature for the show. You can get involved. All you need to do to get involved is be involved in our forums, pokernightlive.co.uk.
You'll find out how to do it there.
If you want to. Up to you.
If you just want to have a look, that's fine.
That's fine. Will Tomcat moves all in, and very well judged all in it is. 2 picks up the blind. So, blinds 2,000, 4,000. 8 players remain. A variety of stacks, big variety of stacks.
There is a big variety of stacks. So, each round is going to cost you 6,000. So, Harrington's M would be, his panic level would be when you were at 30,000, which, as we see here, means that everyone's panicking here. That's why I don't think it always works in smaller stack tournaments.
Yeah, I think that at the final table, there are other factors as well that start to come into play, aren't there?
I think so. I mean, it needs to be looked at, and it's always work it out, and it's a guideline. Now you look at the next thing, because you look to see, well, actually, how am I in comparison with everyone else, or how am I with the average stack of chips? And then I would look to see how many big blinds I had, which is a slightly shallower panicometer. It was late, I had to work it out.
Yeah, and you failed. Now, Crumble there. Crumble has called for his chips 8-6. Now, he only had 13,000 chips left. But even so, I don't think he needed to call that bet.
What did he call with?
8-6.
No.
He's going to find a better hand than that in the next 6 hands, isn't he?
Yeah, he wants to, again, wanting to be a better rather than a caller has to take over.
Well, we've talked about final tables on the show before, and one of the things I always find myself saying is that the first thing you should do at a final table is slow down and have a look. Because very often, not every single final table I've been at, but very often, people have just been playing at 2 short-handed tables, and very often a number of the players, a combination of that and the fact that the pressure's now on, will make mistakes. And the mistake they'll make is that they'll play too fast and they'll panic too soon. And we're now at the stage of the tournament where every player that goes out bumps up your prize money. So it's very often, when you get to a final table, worth having a look and playing conservatively early on, isn't it?
Well, yes, it'd be. I mean, you dream to sort of have a full round of play, basically, because sometimes the short stacks panic very quickly.
Absolutely.
Or they might just thin the field out. All of a sudden, your equity has risen without you doing anything.
Yeah.
Which is quite pleasant.
Yeah, I'm not advocating completely going to your shell. You still want to be looking for opportunities and be prepared to bet you could, so on. But just in terms of your attitude, you don't want to put pressure on yourself if it's not there, and you want to allow the other players to make mistakes.
Okay, it's a big raise here from Dead Spiders with
See, I know he's picked up the blinds there, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's one of those moves where you think, you know, he doesn't need to make that there and then. He doesn't need to do it. And
he's just against the blinds, wasn't he? Because he was on the button.
He was just against the blinds, but Demi's sitting in the big blind with only 4 times the big blind left in his stack.
That's what would
if
worry
Demi
me.
looks down and finds King 10, or Queen 9 even, or suited, or something like that, he might call. He might decide now's my chance to try and double up.
He's got an awkward situation because he's also got Jugglebug there, who's got chip leader. So he's got the 2 guys who can be dangerous to make moves against. The lower stack and the big stack. Because it's the middle stacks that we prefer.
Dead Spiders, clearly, this is a predetermined strategy. He's going to move his chips.
Mind you, the more he does it, of course, the more he climbs up the chip ladder.
But the more times he's exposing himself to being bust.
Yes, but the longer he survives, of course, then the less likely he's going to be bust.
But the more spiders he has, the more times he's got some dead ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of factors at play.
And you can read all about it on his website.
Well, Dead Spiders quite often emails, so be nice to hear from him tonight, and his strategy here of making some chips, and maybe now that's worked a couple of times and he thinks he's a little bit more comfortable. Don't get me wrong, I've got no, I'm not saying that what he's doing is a bad play, I'm just pointing out the pitfalls of it. And, if you're going to do that, you have to accept that it's not something that he had to do, therefore he's risking his tournament life. It may blow up in his face. If he thinks that's the best way, he's been playing with these players for a little while, then who am I to disagree?
We will monitor the situation. And look at this. We've had an under-the-gun raise from Jugglebug.
See, I like that. He's got the chips, he covers everyone at the table. He's got an action hand if he's called. Why not leverage that big stack a little bit?
And he's followed up with a proper hand in the big blind, and it's ace-9 there, quite correctly making a move. Good play from Deem. Time is run out for him.
Well, I presume that's Dr. Demi who makes some very interesting posts on the forum, and he wins there.
Good bet.
He's a maths... I don't think he'll mind me saying this. He's a mathematically inclined player.
Yes, he talks a lot of sense.
Let's see if he can execute. He's done well so far. They've all done well to reach the final table, of course.
We've had a raise from the King-Queen, takes it down.
The John Keats of Poker Night Live stands.
Oh, it's our poet.
It's our poet.
And he's got a big slick this time, under the gun. He's got 48,000 chips. He's raised it to 32,000. No mucking around there. 8 times the big blind. And takes it down. Well, I'm very happy for them to take down pots without showing down, as I've been trying to stress. More times you can do that, the easier it is to win the tournament. Dead Spiders is trying again and succeeds. Hovering near 40 now. But the blinds are creeping round to him.
He clearly is going to do this once or twice around, isn't he? If he does it here, he's in trouble.
He's found it a pair this time.
Oh, now, big decision for Demi. And he calls.
This is an action pot, isn't it? Pair of 8s, ace, queen and jacks.
Well, this is a key hand in the
and the
tournament.
pair of jacks, there's no heart for anyone. Oh, look at that. How cruel is that?
Horrible for Demi.
Demi there has made his trip jacks, but it gave Jugglebug the top straight. Ace, king, queen, jack, 10. And the trips for Spiders on the turn. Cruel for him too. Unbelievable.
Drama in that hand, and that could be the key hand of the tournament. 2 players knocked out and Jugglebug up to 124,000 chips.
Dead Spider's the leader on the turn. A tease card for Demi on the river. But of course, that is the winning card for Jugglebug.
Spiders and Demi, we'd love to hear from both of you. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk about that hand. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear what you thought about that hand. The big question for me is, James, are you calling with the jacks? That's the big one there, I think.
I think yes, because of the amount of chips that he had. He still wasn't chipped up. He still was under pressure. And I think it was one of those situations where he's against 2 opponents. It just looks like an opportunity to get back in the game, big style.
Well, Jugglebug's got all the chips, and now he's got a pair of kings. It hardly seems fair, does it?
And
That's a massive... I'm not sure about that raise. Well, he's got a customer. He might have 2 customers. Now, Stantis folds the 10s. Jugglebug is terminating this field as Stantis sees his turn come on the river.
yeah, 4 times the big blind he made it. He made it 32,000.
Well, I thought he'd raised too much.
Yes.
I thought, how's he going to get play out of these guys? Because he knows that they all know they've got him covered.
Yeah. I'd have made it certainly a bit less, that's for
I don't
sure.
like Mtosha's call there for all his chips with a pair of 8s. I'm not a big fan of that.
No, again, I do want to tend towards being a better rather than a caller. And there's a bit of betting from Stantis, that's fine. I like it.
They're not hanging around, these boys, are they?
No, they're not.
Down to 4 players, and Jugglebug's terminating the field at the moment.
Well, Tamer's going to pass that. Jugglebug will actually pass that one too. Will Tom Cat
I don't know, will he?
make up the small blind? No, he doesn't.
Well, the blinds are up to 4 and 8.
Wham. 12,000 around.
Hmm.
Well,
It's
Will Tom Cat here has to really find a hand very quickly.
yeah, it's not a happy
And-
situation for anyone except for Jugglebug.
Oh, it's horrible. I have to pass that, I'm afraid, because I expect to get a bigger hand on the big blind than 5-10, so I do pass that. Because I'm going to be against Jugglebug. I don't think I can make him pass anyway. So I'll wait for the big blind, just as Will Tom Cat did.
Yeah, me too.
He's got King 9. He's got to be quite happy with that. He says, thank goodness I passed my 10-5. As we can see, however, he's walked into an ace, but he's still got reasonable chance here. He's got a queen for a straight.
Doesn't
Not
happen.
to be, though.
Yeah, he had to play that King 9. He goes out in 4th place. A good tournament, but no match for the Jugglebug. Juggle-naught, isn't he, at the moment? Steaming through
Juggle-naught,
this
I like
field. I have renamed him the Juggle-naught.
The Juggle-naught.
That's official. Stanter's making the big move with King 10. I'm a fish. Thought about it for a second.
Yeah, he was the King 9 against the offsuit against the Ace 7. He had a 40, well, just over 40% chance there. It wasn't too bad. Certainly a better decision than going in with his 10-5. Jugglebug exerts the pressure, starves his opponents of the blinds, just like a chip leader should. Lets the 2 players bother about each other. That's what he should be doing. Oh well, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to get involved then. He doesn't. That's good. Sometimes we see the chip leader go potty
Yeah, it's good play.
and think he has to be a permanent sheriff on the table.
I couldn't agree more.
But he didn't there. That was discerning play by Jugglebug.
Yeah, if you do find yourself in the great position of being the big stack, please don't feel that you have to take responsibility and knock people out all the time. Obviously, sometimes you can use your big stack to good effect, but if you're in a situation where you like to be dominated, you may just be doubling up your opponents.
Exactly.
And that big stack can get eroded quickly.
Oops, we've got
But
Jugglebug's enjoying this. We've got a showdown, but yes, we've got a weak one there now. Stanters down to 15.
got to play that.
Jugglebug likes it. He wants to see one of these 2 die.
Stanter's got to play. I'm a fish should just call here. He does.
Jugglebug gets out the way. See the 9 Stanters is an escape. Not to be. And the aces and 6s wins against the 9s and 6s. So we have a final 2.
Unlucky Stanters, our poet laureate of Poker Night Live, out in 3rd place. Jugglebug versus I'm a Fish for the win in the 1st edition of the Poker Night Live Private Members Club.
Don't you dare.
What?
Tournament.
Yeah. Series. Knockout. Special. Jugglebug with the aggression. I'm officially having none of it. Strong play. And Jugglebug has to call, and it's 50-50.
But he's hit the 8.
It's all over.
Not 50 anymore. Jugglebug, it felt like he was going to win from quite a long way out. And,
Absolutely, it did.
He's carried on effortlessly from there.
It was easy.
And very good play. I liked when he passed as well as the chip leader. Just generally liked his play altogether.
James, it was easy. He made it look
so
like it was
easy.
routine. Well played all the players at the final table, and particularly well played to the Jugglenaut. He is the first winner of our now weekly... I won't do it.
He's the league leader.
Our weekly poker tournament. He is the league leader.
Yeah, top of the league. The Chelsea of the poker league.
At the moment. That's right.
At the moment.
At the moment. I hate Chelsea. AA Marco has emailed in. Might be your second email of the night, actually, but I brought up an interesting point about James's play in the sit and go. Just had a different angle on it, and let's see what James thinks of this. He's talking about ace-king early in the tournament, and he says James got that a couple of times and raised, and nobody played with him. AA Marco's perspective on this is that he wants to play with ace-king, and he would normally just call early in the tournament, hope to see a raise from someone else. If so, I re-raise. If not, I see the flop with the best hand. I find this is a much better way to play his hands early on, especially in the 8-seater TV sit and goes, because as you found later, you're really relying on getting good cards as the blind raise so quickly, so I want to get a big chip stack early. Don't we all? The best way to do this is to play my good hands like ace-king. So A. Marco is saying that he would play the ace-king slower and try and extract a bit of action from the other players. What do you think, James?
Well, one of the times I remember I had the ace-king, I was in early position. So I don't really think that's a great time to be playing it slowly. I'm quite happy to possibly thin the field. I could well come up against one opponent. If I'm up against one opponent, I've got the option to probably make a continuation bet and get rid of them. If I'm against more than one opponent, my hands are tied. And if I haven't hit the flop, then I'm in trouble, because I shouldn't be doing continuation bets, certainly not against 3 people, or probably not even against 2. It's a difficult one. Early position, I'm quite happy with raising, and I think I'd raise again. Late position, if I had ace-king suited, I'd be more likely I could limp in, because it is a sort of hand which will play well against a lot of people. Yes, you can do it. I could well get people to call me with a lesser hand, though.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the end of the world.
Okay, interesting. Email from Stuart now. Hi, James/Nick. It's actually Nick/James, don't worry. Much like other sitting goes, sorry, I can't help it. Much like other sitting goes on poker sites, the ones you show run fast with the blinds increasing very quickly. You can massage your luck by choosing moments, but it can still be a crapshoot towards the end, particularly if there are a large number of players left. That's true. With the standard at lower value tables gradually increasing and everyone playing tighter, I'm curious what sort of margin and profit a good player should expect to make. I'm particularly interested in this with respect to the free fees/rake, which is especially high at lower value games. Keep up the good work. Well, I wonder what James thinks about this one. I don't play very many sit and goes. I only actually play them if I've got half an hour to fill and want to play a bit of poker. So I'm no expert on profits and returns at them. Do you have any idea on this one?
Well, definitely. I mean, I know quite a few people who play just purely sit and goes professionally. So you definitely can make a profit playing sit and goes. But basically, they will just, after playing thousands of these sit and goes, they'll know virtually what sort of percentage they're getting at that level game that they're playing, or even on a specific site. Yes, you're correct. At the lower level, it seems unfair, but I suppose the sites have to make some money somewhere. But the lower level, they are paying a higher percentage of rake, and this obviously does make it harder for you to win. The way we should think about it is, in the lower level, we really are sort of learning. And so if we're breaking level, if we're good enough to break level there, that should be quite good, because we're at college, we're studying, and then we're going to get our degree, move up to the higher game where we can make the money. So yes, it is tougher in the lower levels to make the money. But on some of the lower level games, the standard is so poor that you can even overcome that higher percentage registration fee.
Good stuff. Hope that's helped. Another one from Hoik Balls.
Oh, where are the lads?
Who, I just wanted to read this out because he's come back to us. Being to wish I'd never emailed you now. My God, you laid into me. Yes, we did. And rightly so. No, I'm only teasing. I hope you weren't in any way offended, because we're only talking about poker and your play, and our idea is that we help you and everyone else be a better player. So I hope it doesn't discourage you from emailing again. Couple of very quick points. Firstly, I'm not psychic. Any spoon bending I do requires 2 pliers. When I had 5-5, I didn't put the other guy in a pocket pair because statistically that's only going to happen 3 times out of 10. So with such a tight table, I figured this was worth the bet. It's only happened 3 times out of 10, but statistically, when he makes the raise, he's indicating a strong hand. So actually, he's going to have a pocket pair about half the time when he makes that raise. Maybe slightly less, but a decent amount of the time. Not enough for you to assume that he doesn't have one, in my opinion. Secondly, I was trying to be a bit ironic in my email. In both scenarios, I did mention that, quotes, ordinarily I would fold 5-5 to a raise, and also that ordinarily I would have made the call with King-Queen. It was just a bit of deference to James and his favourite rule.
I appreciate that.
Do you use the word ordinarily? Ordinarily.
Ordinarily.
So look forward to seeing you, Nick, in the next Beat the Presenter. I might just mix it up a bit more. I'd love to play the next Beat the Presenter, but Kara Scott cleaned out my account. Sorry, I'll get some more from Kara. Just a quick poker joke before I go. This is good because I've heard about one poker joke in the 8 years I've been in poker.
Here's number 2.
Let's give this a whirl. A guy was playing 10-20 hold'em and was stuck about $300 when he looked down beside the table and saw a little green leprechaun. Quit playing poker forever right now and I'll give you a pot of gold worth $1 million, said the little fellow. The player replied, let me get even first.
It's all right.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 poker jokes. Thank you for that, Hoik, and thank you for the emails and your participation in the show. Hope we hear from you again, and we promise to be nicer if you play better.
Good email, Hoik.
Yeah, good email. Keep them coming. We will do a few more before the end of the show. poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We've got a treat for you.
Yes.
For the hardcore that stayed with us right to the end of Monday night, don't say we don't look after you, because we love you. And you, James.
Good.
100, 200 cash.
You're teasing.
I'm not teasing. Check this out.
You're teasing.
I have got a little bit of a rouser.
Oh, you're joking.
100, 200 cash heads up.
I can't believe it. I said to Nick earlier tonight, I was reminiscing. I said one night, Dr. Tom and I were on and we had a 100, 200 cash.
No, you said 50, 100.
No, 50, 100 I said.
Yeah, we've kicked that into touch,
no,
James.
Goodness. I said 50. Unbelievable. We've smashed it. Fantastic.
Here we are.
Brilliant.
One of the biggest games we've ever had, possibly the biggest game we've ever had on Poker Night Live.
Yes, it is.
Big heads-up match. Look at that. We are looking at $57,500 on the table with only 2 players in play.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant to watch. How are we allowed to watch this is beyond belief. I am so excited, I can tell you. 1,000 from Pobeda.
With the flush draw.
With the flush draw. Thinks he might have overcards as well because he's got 1 overcard to the jack anyway. And look at that. It's asked the question from Phantomet. Calls. Wow, he's now got a straight draw as well, so he's got possible queen. Oh, Phantomet didn't know where he was there. He didn't like the ace because he thought that Pobeda could have had that ace, I think. No more betting and Phantomet takes it down. Well, we got passes there. We're going to have to really watch what these guys are doing. 5-7 passes. King 3. In this, of course, just like the tournaments, the small blind is actually not on the button. But still, they're just, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, so they're adapting their play accordingly. A possible straight draw for Pobeda. Phantomet, no help on the flop. Pobeda in position. Is he going to try something? There's 400 in the middle. He would be a classic semi-bluff, but of course there's a pair and a flush draw. He didn't like the whole situation because he just didn't know where he was and could have been pushed off it himself.
Well, we get a lot of emails and communications about heads-up play. asking for advice, that sort of thing. You could do a lot worse than watch this and take notes, guys.
Well, no, you should have your recorders on now, I can tell you. Because this is worth going over time and time again. That is for sure. This is an absolute treat.
You don't know either of these players, do you?
No, I'm trying, actually in my mind, I'm trying to work out who they could be. Yeah, so Phantomet is the one who seems familiar. I think he did used to play the big games before. The name Pobeda seems vaguely familiar as well. I'm certainly going to be trying to ask some of my pals to see who it is.
Well, they're either serious players or just very rich people. There's a serious amount of money to put down on a poker table.
So far they feel like they can play. Wow, look at that. He's hit a pair of 8 and he's got the flush draw.
That's a massive flop,
And
heads up.
Pobeda's got the pair of 8, which is his problem, and a lower kicker.
Well, makes the flush. How's he going to play it?
Yes, exactly. What's he going to do? And
He's playing it like he doesn't have the flush. He's playing it like he has a top pair or something to try and get some action.
13.98. He put in a funny price even. So even the guy with thousands can have fun. And they're certainly moving, aren't they, these guys? 4-7, surrenders. I looked down, I missed what he had there. Okay, 7-8 says
Yeah,
no.
it's interesting that they are giving up hands before the flop.
Yep.
Harrington is very keen to make this point, which is that you are getting 3-1 on the initial call when you play heads up.
There's all the implied aspects.
Implied odds as well, yeah. Which means you shouldn't throw away your first 2 cards
and
very
it's a straight
often.
for Phantomet.
Yeah, straight versus top 2.
And this could be expensive. But there's a spades out there as well. I think Pobeda can probably get away from this. No, he just calls. So I think it's check and call for Pobeda. Oh, just check in the end because suddenly Phantomet got worried.
Yeah,
Said he's
that's
only going to
interesting.
call me now if he's got me.
So
That was quite nice. I like that because that's something I advocate. When you're not sure, when you feel that you've walked into something, don't be frightened to reverting to check and call because it'll cost you less.
Yeah.
Also, you might be pleasantly surprised when at the end there someone hasn't got their hand, they were on a draw and they try to bet at you and you collect the bluff. Yep. We've got action here. It's ace-jack against... Oh my goodness! Phantomet's hit trip tens. How beautiful that is. $3,600. That's real money, folks, in the middle. But Pobeda hasn't got anything. Just 2 overcards. And he's bet this funny amount again.
I think Phantomet bets a funny amount every time he has a strong hand.
Ah, see, Nick's making notes. Pobeda raises it up. Could he be a little bit tilty? Things aren't going right for him.
No.
And he's got a problem here. He's got middle pair against top pair with an ace kicker. Ah, this looks like a...
Well, Phantomet's getting all the cards, isn't he?
He's checked it there, which is good. And he's checked it as well. Because, of course, they were worried about the 7, which would have made a straight, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they both respected the flop. Oh, and there we go. Phantomet just called.
It's tough to play heads up when the other player keeps hitting the flop.
It certainly is.
Phantomet keeps hitting the flop. It's very hard.
What we should be seeing here is we can see there's a lot of control going on in this game. There's a lot of controlled betting. There's not just like pressing the all-in button and not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of thinking about the size of the bet. There's being selective of hands pre-flop. There's a lot of thinking going on. Do you think that's a fair comment, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And again, passed before the flop there. But the thing is here, this is slightly different, you know, Nick, because with the small blind, with the big blind being on the button,
Absolutely.
the button's got everything.
Yeah.
He's in the pot and he's got the button.
Yeah, there's much less value in making.
So therefore,
that
the
call.
small blind will actually pass more times in this setup than he would in a normal game.
Mm-hmm.
So Harrington's theory doesn't respond to this because he's expecting the small blind to be on
Sure.
the button. So he will make it up more often because of having position.
Yeah, I completely appreciate that. I think that they're still passing a little bit too much, personally, for my taste. What do I know? I haven't got $40,000 on a poker table.
Unless that's you secretly playing now. Because I can't see what your right hand's doing.
Yeah, I'm Pabida. I'm losing. I lost 20,000. I'm quite calm about it, though.
Yeah, but it looks like you might come back.
Well, of course I'll come back.
Pair of twos raises it up.
Horrible hand, pair of
Problem
twos.
here, he's up against a pair of nines, and the pair of nines, 2 over cards, but he says, oh, well, look, I have a bit of a straight draw, but look, nothing, he doesn't bet. Pair of twos checks, pair of nines, puts in 600. Pair of twos just calls. Can't like that card.
I can't like the way he's played his twos at all, I'm afraid.
I think he's a little bit tilty.
Oh, dear. Well,
Well, I like that bet.
do you? I don't. You like it because it was successful. I don't think it was a good bet.
Well, no, because it made sense of what he was doing. I don't think he was playing his. I think he was planning to do that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but is he going to be successful the majority of times with that play? That's the question. I'm not sure. Interesting one.
Yeah. Well, he has 2 outs to hit a dream trips, which he definitely gets paid on. Or I mean, he in his mind will think he's winning.
Well, he did well to win the pot. He didn't really have much entitlement to win that
but just
pot.
the way he did it so quickly, I think it was premeditated. That's my point.
Pabida trying to make a comeback here. He's gone down significantly to Fantomet.
Right, and he raises up with ace-10. Out of position, obviously, because he was on the small blind. Fantomet passes king-7. They're certainly playing fast, aren't they?
They are.
What stats have we got? Hands play.
Well, that's quite interesting that Pabida's playing more hands than Fantomet. Obviously, Fantomet is well ahead. He's
Yeah. So,
although, as we've seen, I think it's too early to say that Fantomet's a better player. He's had connected with all of the flops.
but he is being more selective, and it may be that he feels that being out of position, and that's where he's passing, it's worth getting out of those hands.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
he now is playing more hands in position than his opponent, and I think he's got something. I think he's hit on the right track. I like that thinking.
Mm-hmm.
King 2 raises up to 7.
He's clawing his way back in, Pabida.
Well, I think we'll see another raise from him here. We do. It's a re-raise because Fantomet made it 4, and he's hit a flush draw. Fantomet misses the flop. Pabida, I think, is probably going to bet. Oh, he doesn't. Oh my goodness. Oh, Fantomet bets.
Oh, Pabida will just call, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll just call.
He does just call. Nick's read it right. What's going to happen now? Is Fantomet going to represent? He does. He's pretending he's got the flush.
Pabida's going to push. And obviously
Pabida's praying that he's got the flush.
Fantomet can't call, of course.
Pabida say, please have the king flush. Fantomet deliberating, pretending he had the flush but put it down.
Big pot, $25,000 pot. One of the bigger pots we've seen on the show, I'd have thought.
Yeah,
That's a big pot, isn't it?
it is a big pot. $25,000.
I mean, that is enough for, a good holiday.
Well done, the gallery, finding this one. Way, well done, boys. This is a treat.
Pabida comes right back with that flush.
They'll all wonder why I'm singing on the night bus.
They won't. They'll all move. They won't stop to think twice about why you're singing.
Queen 6 passes.
Well, the thing you should be thinking about at home is how these guys are playing. And bear in mind, they've got plenty of chips in relation to the blind. So this is a very different situation to the one that we often see at the end of a tournament.
Plus they can buy in again.
And they can buy in again, of course. So there's a lot, there's different variables working here.
And using position there.
So one thing about playing heads up on the internet, you see your cards every time, which I hate. Because when I play heads up live, I don't look until my opponent's acted.
Oh, right.
So I don't get, you know, so when you get dealt like Phantomet was there, a pair of jacks on the button, live, you don't have to see it. On the internet, you have to watch it become worthless when they pass.
Pobeda raises up there, out of position.
He's the more aggressive
Loose.
before the flop, isn't he, Pobeda, I think?
He is.
Interestingly.
Wow, now we've... percentage of hands 1. What, neck and neck. Oops, it's American Airlines. Oh, and the Jack 2 is raised. Phantomet can't believe his luck. His opponent's raised into him.
Well, no damage yet. He's only 2.5 big blinds.
He's re-raised.
That surprises me.
Well, he's hoping that he's got a hand, isn't he? He's obviously hoping he's got a pair.
I guess so. But I mean, I don't know. Phantomet's got the button there. I think I'd be tempted to call. Interesting flop. Phantomet has got the flush draw to go with his pair of eights. Obviously, Pobeda's got the kings.
He's got a straight draw now as well, Nick.
He has. Oh, and Pobeda misses a bet there, I think.
I like it now. He's got 2 pairs. I don't think he's going to be worried by the flush, is he? Doesn't feel like there's been a flush out there from the betting. That's right. He didn't feel like it would be flushed to him either. He's bet.
See, I'm quite sure about Pobeda's playing that hand.
He's raised that.
He's
up there.
value betting on the end there, and I don't know.
I think the betting didn't feel like it was a flush made.
I know, but there's
He
still
made 2 pair.
there's only value in the bet at the end if Phantomet's going to call with
1 pair.
1 pair, which maybe he is.
Yeah,
I
if
don't
he
know.
had a king with a better kicker, he'd have called.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's
But if
just
he had a
that
king with a better kicker, he'd have heard about it before, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's just hoping that he was put off by the flush draw or whatever. I don't know. He's made that second pair. He just thinks, I don't believe there's a flush. I'm going to see if I can get paid with 2 pair. 2 pair heads up is a very big hand, isn't it? So.
Oh yeah, it is. But that's not the point, is it? The point is he could turn his hand over.
Yeah, I must admit, I did say I thought he was going to put in a bet before he did it, because I felt I
I
would
suppose
have
it has
done
the
that.
extra value of potentially looking like a bluff.
Yeah. Whereas more times than not, I would err on the side of not doing it there because I'd only be called by when I was losing. But I did feel that I think one of the arts of heads-up play is being able to know when to pitch these value bets, which generally are different to the value bets you'll get in a ring game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that's where the top heads-up players excel. Because some people have a very high pain threshold regarding calling on the river in heads-up. They call down with all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And if you know this, of course, well, then you really should be taking advantage of this with lesser hands, which you now feel have a very good chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Nice flop for a pair of sixes.
Yep. He's quite happy about the 4. Probably doesn't like the 10.
I don't understand him checking the flop and the turn there, I have to say.
No, I think the flop was a good flop for the pair of sixes
It
heads
was.
up.
It was, and almost any card that comes could hurt him.
And look at this. He does want to get paid this time, doesn't he?
There's Phantomet's funny amount bet.
Yeah.
I think a funny amount bet from Phantomet means he wants a call. That's what I think. But what do I know? I haven't got a huge amount of money at stake in a 100-200 game.
It's a raise from Phantomet with ace-7 suited. Ace-queen re-raises to 14. He calls with ace-7, 6-9-10 the flop. Possible straight for Phantomet. Backdoor flush. 2 overcards for Pobeda. Phantomet carries on the betting. 1800. Not so easy for Pobeda. Not easy at all. He passes. Good betting from Phantomet there. Made the better hand fold.
There we are, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little treat. 100-200.
Go back to it.
James is going to keep watching after we go off air.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I think the interesting thing about that is that, of course, we were analysing the cards and the bets, but there's a big possibility, because there are only so many players that play at that level, that those guys have played together before, and that there's a lot more going on than we could possibly analyse, because they're making moves that they've seen before, trying not to make moves they've seen before. You know, and there's so many levels at that level of play and so much going on that it's very difficult to know exactly why people have done things.
It was, but to me, that is just an absolute treat. To be able to watch a $100, $200 no-limit cash game and see all the cards, that is the best poker television you can see, I can promise you.
There you go. And you were here for it, the hardcore.
Brilliant.
Quickly on the hand of the night for me, which was towards the end of the tournament. We had 8s versus ace, queen versus jacks, I think, and
yes.
Juggle not 2 players out. Matosha. Oh, I think this is 2 different. Excuse me, I think this is 2 different hands. Dead Spiders, who had the 8s.
Yes, he had the trips on the turn, if I remember rightly.
He did. He says he did think twice about before pushing, partly because it was early position, and partly I was getting to the level of chips where I didn't have to all in to play the hand. He'd been moving in quite a lot. I figured the limp would probably find an all-in raise somewhere on the table, and if I didn't run into an overpair, I was happy to either take the blinds or 50-50 to double up. Anyway, I'm very happy those were a result. It should fund the rest of the Monday tourneys for a while to come. I just thought Dead Spiders was slightly overdoing it with the pushing in, because he was running the risk, and particularly because he had the big stack to his left. Just running the risk a little bit too often.
And there's one more point there, is once you've pushed in quite a lot of times, your actual fold equity diminishes, because people will say, well, hang on, you can't have a hand all the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're more likely to be called. So your fold equity is diminishing each time you do it.
It's an excellent point, James. Because if somebody's sitting there with a pair of 7s, say, and they've got you covered, the first time you do it, they'll probably pass.
Yeah.
If they've seen you do it 5 times,
say, oh,
they'll start thinking,
that.
I've got, at least a 60-70% edge here. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Making Jam has emailed in, and he knows how to get his email read out. Nick, every word that falls from your lips is poker gold. That's how easy it is to get your email read out on TV. And you're giving this stuff away for free. Are you mad? I'm not giving it away for free. I get paid a huge amount of money to do this show. He's talking about the Beat the Presenter tournament that you played in, James. And he says, interesting, you saw me go out 2 tournaments tonight in the same position, low stacked all in with Rag King. Hadn't realised we'd done that. I'm happy enough with my play. He's questioning your raise with the small stacks with Queen Jack. Is that what you had?
No.
Queen Jack 10 you had,
yes.
Didn't you? And saying, were you trying to steal? Did you really think you had the best? I think you explained that at the time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I said I'm against 2 different size stacks there. I've actually got one person just covered. The other person, I've got about twice as many chips as he has. All the different situations there. Jack 10. I can be against if the small blind calls, well, I've still got half my stack left if he beats me. If the big blind calls, well, then I'm just against one big blind, and we've got the extra money in from the small blind. If they both call, it's possible that the small stack wins and I win the side pot, so it cuts out my fluctuations. Thought it was value.
James, thank you for that. Thank you for the pleasure of your company tonight.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's been great fun.
And the icing on the cake, 100, 200.
We're still excited about it. Michelle and James on tomorrow night for an amateur night. I'm back on Thursday night. Take care, everybody, and make sure you're here tomorrow night at 10 sharp for more Poker Night Live. See you soon.